Good evening and welcome to the south of France. I'm Charlie Bosco with Mike Langley alongside me for IFSC Lead World Cup Final number 3 of 2017, live from Briancon. Sitting in the Haute-Alpes region of France, close to the wild and remote Écran Mountains, and at an altitude of just over 1,300 metres, Briancon is a beautiful and historic place. It was settled during the Roman era and is now home to around 11,000 permanent residents who can enjoy world-class climbing, skiing, kayaking and cycling right out of town. The city itself is charming and enjoys an average of 300 days of sunshine per year, making this one of the most popular stops on the IFSC Tour. And the irony is not lost on me that of those 300 days of sunshine, we are unfortunately not enjoying one today. We had a very heavy rain shower about 6 p.m. That eased off. It was decided to postpone the final until 8, which is now, and it's just started raining again. And I'm afraid to say it is still raining, but the athletes are on stage being presented to the crowd. And Mike, the wall seems to have stayed relatively dry. We saw some leaf blowers being employed to dry the wall off. First impressions of the routes when you went up there today?
Well, I think once again the route setters have got a hard job following the competition in Chamonix. They've done a pretty good job in the semi-finals. If you guys catch that stream, it was a good round, entertaining routes, but there were a few ties going into tonight's final. A three-way tie in the women's with Janja, Jane Kim and Annek Verhoeven completely tied going through into this round. So the route setters have got a really hard job to get that right. And looking up at the routes, hopefully they've done enough. It has to be hard, especially in the women's. Speaking with the route setters, they said they've kind of gone for constantly hard all the way. There's no trick moves, there's no gimmies. It's just hard, lots of power all the way through. And I think that's going to be consistent through into the men's route as well. And I think the men's has kind of got a little bit more of a dynamic style. But both men's and women's, 42 moves. And hopefully that means the 6-minute rule, 6 minutes maximum time rule will be enough. But yeah, I think good routes, and really hope that the weather's not going to cause us any problems here.
Yeah, I'm just looking past our camera. It is still raining gently, but hopefully the wall will dry off very shortly. You can see there, unfortunately, the attire for most of the crowd is Gore-Tex jackets underneath umbrellas. And there is a look at our wall here in Briancon. It's not been raining for long. This latest shower's only started literally 5 minutes before we came on air. The previous one before that was quite heavy, and there was some very spectacular thunder and lightning. They actually evacuated the venue briefly for fear of issues with the lightning. But the crowd is now back in, and as I say, hopefully this rain will pass. The skies are pretty grey, but things can change quickly here in Briancon. Unfortunately, this is not one of the 300 sunny days. I
think it's a real testament to how psyched the people are in France and in Briancon and just around this town. The weather is bad to say the least, but they're all here. They're out. They're enjoying the stalls around the venue. I've just been past one of the kind of the food vendors, the beers flowing over there, and everyone's just having a really good time no matter what the weather. And really hope that the routes and the climbers can put on a good show for the guys out there.
Yeah, generally we get a crowd of about 8,000 here in Briancon, actually in the venue. We can see that chief route setter with the right hand of those two people with the official jacket on, Jan Zabranek, who we spoke to on the live stream last night, with his very fetching pink umbrella. Seems to be pretty happy, and the rain is certainly easing, and the wall's staying dry. Just quickly run you through our 8 female climbers, most of whom you might not be able to identify. We normally have a much clearer view than that, free of the umbrellas, but the 8 this evening will be Salome Roman, Margot Hayes, Julia Shanodi, Mena Markovic, Jessie Piltz, Jane Kim, Annek Verhoeven and Janja Garnbret. There is Salome Roman, a Briancon local.
And as we said, it's 3 climbers who are actually tied going into tonight's final. Janja Garnbret, Jane Kim and Annek Verhoeven, and the route setters really have to try and split those. They seem to be the standout athletes so far this weekend, but you can't count out Mena Markovic. We like to call them the big 4. She's up there as well. Julia Shanodi, great results. Jessie Pills looked on fine form last night, and Margot Hayes, obviously the first woman to climb 9A+, also competing on this route alongside Salome Roman, who's obviously from France, and so each climber has something going for them that could make them a contender here.
That's our first good look at the women's route. Unlike yesterday, the women are on the left, men are on the right. We'll have the women's final first, of course, followed by the men. They won't be climbing simultaneously. You'll be able to see every move from every climber. But that's our women's route. Left-hand side of the wall. Huge green holds, and yellow volumes.
So as I was saying, the route setters have really gone for this kind of constantly hard style. That's the way it was described to me anyway. So it starts hard and continues hard. Sometimes we see routes like this, they build as we go up, and generally a competition route may get harder and harder, it gets to the top, but with this kind of wall that we've got here, this setup, they've gone to just hard, and it really has to be when you've got the stop, Annika, Bret, Jane Kim, Annek Verhoeven, and obviously the other athletes who are in fine form. As we mentioned, then the route setter has gone for 42 moves. That's to kind of make the routes suitable for the 6-minute time limit. You could have seen 50 or 60 moves in previous years when it was 8 limits, but now with the 6-minute time limit, 42 moves. It's actually 42 moves in the men's and the women. So the route setter has gone for consistency in terms of the number of moves set for the climbers.
And there's the world rankings as they stand. Annika, Bret, perfect score, 200. Remember, 100 ranking points in the overall standings for a win. Jane Kim follows her. Jane Kim, I have to say, looked the most impressive of the climbers to me yesterday. She's currently in second, Annek Verhoeven in third. That was the top 3 in 2016 at the end of the season in the overall rankings. Slightly different order this time round. Annek was second, Jane in third, but still that top 3, closely followed by Mena Markovic, Jessie Piltz, Julia Chanaudy. All of that top 6 will climb this evening in the final here in Briancon.
As you can see on the top right-hand side of your screen, that's the countdown clock for the observation. So just over 45 seconds remaining for these guys. They have just 6 minutes to observe the route.
And it'll be Salome Roman out first. As I say, Briancon local. She will enjoy some partisan support, as I'm sure Julia Chanaudy will. 2 Slovenians to come as well, Mena Markovic and Annika, Bret. And you can see there Margot Hayes and Annek Verhoeven just comparing notes on the route.
I mean, for me, yesterday, Margot Hayes was one of the standout kind of performances during the semi-final. A score of 37, other climbers 42 plus, and then tops. So although she didn't get the highest score, the way that she climbed the route and the way you see her thinking and adapting her sequence as she went on the fly. If you guys caught the live stream, lots of knee bars, upside down inverted knee bar was particularly impressive, and the way that she used that kind of outdoor route climbers mentality to tackle the competition here was really impressive. So I'm actually quite looking forward to that, and there is a lot of big names to come, but you know, I would find it hard to pick a winner at this stage. You know, with ties, freeway tie, and Annek Verhoeven and Annika, Bret actually tied last time they were out competing at the World Games, so those two are just neck and neck at the moment this season.
The athletes make their way off the stage. They're being ushered off right past us. And off they go. And this, interestingly enough, as they walk past our position, you can just make out the top of Mike's head above that grey van. Not mine, unfortunately, just ever so slightly shorter. As they came past, he was still comparing notes.
So the crowd's still building here in Briancon. The rain is easing off slightly, which is good, and this wall does have a roof. Doesn't cover 100% of the wall. It's super steep, so we're really hoping the rain doesn't affect the competition tonight. That would be a real shame for the good 6,000 or so who are currently here in the venue. The organisers seem pretty happy so far. They're going to crack on, and we can have a chat very shortly with one of our head route setters.
Jan Zabranek, thank you for joining us. Still got your helmet on, fresh from the wall.
Pleasure to be here.
How was it watching the climbers observe the route? Do you think, from what you saw, the hand movements, the gestures, do you think they read it right?
Yeah, the most surprising thing for me was to see Jane Kim and Annek and Yanya to being observing the route together. You know, I was thinking like, no, you should compete against each other. You know, now you fall on one spot, and we don't want that. But it was funny, and it was kind of nice to see.
And we were chatting earlier about what you had in mind for this route. You were saying you want basically hard all the way. Can you give us a bit of detail on what the goal of the route was? What you when you set out, what you were hoping to achieve with the route?
Well, our main goal was to split these 3 top girls because they are, you know, equal after the semi-final and also after the qualification. So we were trying to set something very consistent. So right from the steep part of the wall all the way through, it's very like homogeneous. There is nothing like easier or harder. It's just hard all the way, and we are trying to create as many moves and as many possibilities to fall as we could, so we get the chance to split them, because they are very, very close to each other, and it's hard for us, you know, to get them separated.
And if you had to guess at this stage, what sort of move number do you think we might see the first climbers fall? Where do you think is the first move where we could realistically see a fall?
Yeah, I don't remember number of the holds, but I would say, you know, it's somewhere in the big roof, where it gets really physical, and yeah, like at the end of the long roof, it could be for us route setters the ideal situation to see the climbers to struggle.
Okay, well, I know how nerve-wracking it is to watch the final, but go relax, and will you come back and tell us about the men's route a bit later on?
If the female goes well, then I will come.
All right, it's a deal, and if it doesn't go well, just come back and bring a beer to drown your sorrows.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
Thanks, Jan.
Yeah, good luck.
That was Jan Zabranek, our chief route setter here in Briancon. I always feel bad talking to them before the climbing, because I know how nerve-wracking it is. But great to get a bit of insight as ever.
Well, I think what's just a bit of a tip of the hat to the route setters. They've been up there, like you say, with the leaf blowers, trying to dry the wall for a good hour or so to get this competition underway. And once again, it's those guys who kind of make it possible. And yeah, we really do hope that the rain doesn't play too much of a part here. It really does seem to be easing off. The umbrellas are still up currently, but I think we could be in for a women's final here.
I hope so. It's drizzling. I think in the north of England they call this spitting. It's spitting now. And the judges and the technical team and the jury president all seem to be happy with the state of the wall. Unfortunately, the wall here in Briancon, it is prone to seeping. It's, for whatever reason, the rain really does seem to penetrate it. So if it rains for a long time, if it rains hard and consistently, it can really make a dent on the wall. But generally, when we get relatively brief showers like this, it's not too much of a problem. This is the large roof that Jan was talking about.
So you can see on the right hand side then, kind of the route setters have made the most of the wall here. Obviously during the qualifiers there's actually 4 climbers climbing at the same time here, so it gives you an idea of the scale of the wall. Very, very wide, which gives the opportunity for the route setters to spread the routes far and wide, right to left. 42 moves in total, which have got to be climbed in just that 6-minute period. And with a three-way tie going into the final, as we said once again, the time will be a factor. And in the interview that we had with Annek Verhoeven yesterday, she really said that time was a factor, and she really thought about that going into her semi-final climb, and I'm sure she'll be thinking once again and checking that watch as she climbs.
Yeah, it was interesting chatting to Annek yesterday. We're used to seeing her so neat and controlled, and although she really cruised the moves, you could tell she was hurrying. And she did say in her interview that she glanced down at her watch on her harness just to see how she was doing for time. And it was quite unusual to see her kind of scurrying for the top. And although those moves were well within her ability level, you could tell she had to get a move on. It is fortunately a relatively short wall here in Briancon, as Mike said, 42 moves for the men, 42 moves for the women. As per usual, we will have 8 female finalists and 8 male finalists. Each athlete will have 6 minutes to attempt their route.
It's great to see the shot of the crowd there. It's absolutely smashing it down with rain here, and they're just really enjoying themselves. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, the beer stand's been doing a roaring trade, partly because of the Stella Artois and partly because it offers a bit of shelter. If you when you're ordering your beer, if you just lean in, you can get your head out of the rain. It seems to have really contributed to their business this weekend.
I'm sure they're not going to be too upset about the rain delay. Also, an extra hour's worth of selling the beer, so hopefully they've got 1 or 2 left for us at the end, but we'll see.
And I believe we're close to getting Salome Roman out onto the wall.
Here we are then, the first athlete joins us for the final here in Briancon. Salome Roman, 5th in the European Championships 2017, 19th in Villars. A great effort for her to make the finals, and being a French athlete, the crowd are on their feet already. I really think we're set for an awesome show tonight.
Certainly are. Salome with the shoe covers. We saw them last night when it wasn't raining. Uses them again in the final here. And she's got 40 seconds of individual observation time. It doesn't really seem to want to use it. Just took a deep breath and straight onto the wall. And our first moves of this final here in Briancon. It's one of the great stops on the IFSC Tour. A legendary climbing town at the foot of the Ekran Mountains. Very knowledgeable local crowd. who always support the event well, rain or shine. And as I say, it's sunny 300 days a year here, but we do always seem to hit the rainy ones. Doesn't deter the crowd though.
I really hope that the athletes have managed to keep their feet dry, keep their hands dry, and keep the chalk in good condition backstage. Obviously, they've been through the observational period. They would have got a bit damp whilst they're out there, but hopefully everything is still dry, and obviously the organisers are happy, and the competition is underway as our first climber, Salome Roman, really showing that it is hard all the way. She's kind of quite slow off the ground here, kind of tricky sequences already.
And already having to jump. Not an easy start psychologically, but actually made it with ease. Just a bit of a mind game there from the route setters.
Well, I think it's mind games for the athletes as well, with the coming out here in front of such a big crowd, just to kind of come out and be able to perform. Hopefully there's not too many nerves, and just come out, kind of do your thing, just do your climbing, compete against the route, and just kind of just take every move as it comes. Quite a slow start here then from Salome.
5th earlier this season in the European Championships, Salome. And you can see already darkness beginning to descend here in Briancon. She's just creating a bit of a shadow as the spotlight follows her up the wall. Crowd enjoying this. She got an enormous cheer when she walked out. The crowd are just waiting for her to get into the meat of the route. The venue MC, Christopher, egging them on as ever. There you might be able to hear the cheer, and she cuts loose. She's now onto the steepest section of the wall and just held that swing.
A couple of big moves here then from Salome. Foot slipped once, nearly slipped again twice, but she's regained her composure. She seems to be on a half decent hold there. She can kind of figure the feet. She's kind of bridging there with the feet to try and get as much purchase through that yellow volume as possible. Seems to have composed herself nicely now.
Just to give you an idea of the profile of this wall here in Briancon, it's split into 4 sections. The first 2 meters is plumb vertical, it then kicks back to about 10 degrees overhanging, and then the long roof, the section that Salome is now on, is extremely overhanging, past 45 degrees, and then the final 4 meters kicks back to about 30 degrees overhanging. So she's now on the steepest section of the wall, in the middle of this honeycomb shaped volume right in the middle. And it wasn't really the angle to see it, that's much better. The volume is almost hollow, you can kind of go into it as Salome did, now merging out of it.
It's an incredible feature on this wall, and this is a good first burn from the first athlete out. Obviously this is our first opportunity to have a look at the route, and it's hard to know exactly how hard it's going to be, but Salome is making a really good burn on this route here.
Yeah, nice and composed. She is only around halfway up the wall, just to give you some idea of scale. It's an optical illusion. There isn't a change of angle above her. It looks like that next quick draw signals a change of angle from this particular camera, but that's not the case. She's got another full panel. That's the one. You can see the change of angle there. So she's still got a way to go. 2 minutes 20 left on the clock. She will need to climb quicker if she goes to the top. She won't be thinking about that though. 1 move at a time.
It really was quite a slow start. I think that gives you an idea of how hard this route is actually going to be for the female athletes tonight. 2 minutes left then. Just taking a time, taking opportunity to rest here, and this is an early indicator of where one of the first rests may be. And the route setter we interviewed earlier saying he thinks this first roof section might start to challenge a few of the women athletes, and here we go then, starting to fight now.
Salome really fighting, you can see the grimace on her face. Gets a big round of applause. They knew how hard she was battling there.
That's a really good burn. You can see that she just sort of got herself a little bit tangled in the rope. She was a bit powered out, but she seemed to enjoy herself. And you know, considering her earlier results this season, it's a good effort from Salome Roman, and the crowd, obviously being friends, they really enjoyed that.
She's just taking a final rueful look up at the route. Out next, it will be Margot Hayes, we mentioned earlier. Superb performance in the semi-final. Let's just have another look at Salome. You can see the grimace.
Brilliant shot. They can see the pain on the face, and just coming short there, firing up to an undercut with the right hand, and heading up to an undercut full stretch like that. It's going to be really, really hard.
And she acknowledges the crowd, and they acknowledge her. Big round of applause from our audience here in Briancon. She'll just take a minute, and there is some of the crowd. The clever ones have brought the camping chairs. They've done this before, this Briancon crowd. It's not their first rodeo.
Luckily as well, the rain seems to have eased off completely, so no issues with the weather at the moment. The wall is obviously nice and dry, so we're definitely on here for the finals here at Briancon. When considering what happened in the last couple of hours, that is an incredible achievement.
So through that door in just a second will be Margot Hayes. In the semi-final she had a real breakthrough. She was the first to make it into the real meat on the head wall of the route yesterday in the semi. And when she came down, I don't think she realised quite how well she'd done until we told her. She didn't initially look overly happy with her performance. It was only after we told her that she was in the lead that she perked up considerably. And she's certainly got the potential to be a big surprise package here in Briancon. Everybody knows about her climbing prowess, but we haven't seen her in as many World Cups, certainly as Mena Markovic, Jane Kim, and increasingly Yanni Bret. Whatever she does here, you sense will just be a bonus. She's enjoying the experience, enjoying being in France, being in Europe. Actually speaks fluent French, Margot Hayes. And yeah, thoroughly enjoying the whole European World Cup experience.
So as I said earlier, I was really impressed with the way Margot Hayes tackled the semi-final route. So we're looking to see some of that kind of clever thinking, tackling the route each move at a time and really figuring out the sequences. She said in her interview yesterday, she kind of had the observation and she talked to the other athletes about the moves, but when it got there it didn't work out how she actually expected, but managed to think on the fly, come up with a really good rest where other climbers struggled, and pushing through that hard section as we saw yesterday gets her into the finals tonight. So really looking forward to seeing what incredible athlete Margot Hayes can do on this final route. Just to give you an idea of where Salome Roman got to, 26 plus was her score. I think the top hold is 42. We're actually waiting for confirmation on that from one of the route setters, but so about halfway then for Salome Roman.
So Margot sets off. Salome looked as if time could have been an issue had she pushed onto the head wall. Margot, of course, won't be aware of that, but already seems to have got a slightly faster pace. As it turned out, time wasn't too much of an issue for Salome, but it could well have been had she got a few moves further on. She's currently in first place. She'd probably be pretty happy if we just called it a day there, actually.
Yeah, if the rain starts again, she'll call that a victory, I reckon. So Margot Hayes then really good pace through this first section, and yeah, we saw, as Charlie said, Salome struggling a little bit. I can't help but think the nerves in front of a huge home crowd played a part in her climbing, but Margot Hayes being such a young athlete, let's see how she deals with the nerves and a final here in Briancon in front of so many people.
Very different build from Salome as well, much taller, bigger reach. Be interested to see how those moves go.
So as we saw in the semi-final route yesterday, then Margot Hayes using her brain, finding rests in sections where they weren't potentially set.
Interesting feature of her climb in the semi-final yesterday was her intelligence. She climbed like an old climber, and I mean that as a compliment. She really intelligently used her energy, used the rest positions when they're available, found rests that not many climbers found, managed it perfectly.
I wouldn't like to call her an outdoor climber in terms of her style, but you can definitely see elements of that when she's competing in the competitions, kind of slow and steady, making the most of each of the rests rather than climbing with a lot of pace and trying to get a top instantly. She's really fighter. It's a little bit of a struggle here then. She's working the left foot quite hard, just smearing on that volume. Hopefully there's no moisture issues in there, but she seems to have got through it now. So steep, this section of wall here in Briancon. This is where we saw Salome Roman making most of this rest, and will Margot take it or will she push through? Feet slipping once again for Margot Hayes.
Judging by the semi-final yesterday, she's pretty clever at using the rest. I think we will see it. No, pushes straight on, no messing about. Dropped the knee briefly just to shake out and chalk up, and now she's on her way again.
This is where we lost Salome Roman. Oh, and Margot Hayes falls in exactly the same spot. Do believe that'll be 26 plus as well, and that was really interesting. Margot had a fantastic start there, really started to stall out in the middle and then seemed to get really pumped very quickly. Margo Hayes 26 plus.
Let's have another look at it. So that was the right hand landed. And then just a foot slipped as she went for the move. Just take, again, a bit like Salome, take a final look up, a final reflective look.
I think she'll be a bit disappointed with that, honestly. I think after a great climb yesterday, she could have done a bit more than that, I can't help but think.
It did look as if there was a foot slip just as she went. Just unfortunate for Margo Hayes.
Yeah, and talking of foot slips, she actually seemed to have a couple of foot slips all through that middle sort of large cave-like volume, the one that you can really get in. And yeah, once again, unfortunately, the rain is coming down here in Briancon. The heavens have opened once again. Cloud is dipping, so let's see if that affects the competition.
Yeah, it's gone from spitting to actually raining, I'm afraid. But the organisers don't seem to mind, and neither do the crowd, and neither does Julia Chanaudy. She's out. Second French climber, and once again gets a very warm response from the local crowd.
So the French crowd obviously waits with anticipation, rain or no rain. It's Julia Chanaudy. What can she do here in Briancon? So her 6 minutes time slot starts.
And as we watch Julia, we've got Margo Hayes alongside us, fresh from the wall. Margo, tell us about the route we saw. Was that a foot slip just as you fell at the end?
I was a little tired there. I think that maybe I climbed a little bit too hesitantly, but the route was absolutely beautiful and I really enjoyed it anyway, so.
Yeah, we saw your foot slipped a couple of times lower down on the route as well. Just explain what you mean by a bit hesitantly. You kind of overthought it?
Maybe a little bit, not too much, but I think I could have climbed a little bit more smoothly, but it's all right.
And is that a case of route reading? Or is it just a style thing, or were you feeling the nerves in front of this huge crowd? What do you think was the reason for that?
I think I felt pretty good. I think maybe I questioned a little bit what I was doing on two movements, and that threw me off a little bit, but it's important to learn how to come back from those, so it was a great learning experience.
Wow, it must have been amazing to climb in front of this huge crowd in Briancon as well.
It's really, I'm really happy to be here, and it's amazing to be here in France, especially with, I began climbing with Robin Robitou and Didier and Brooke and Sean, and they have roots in France as well, and so it was really an honor to be in a final in front of a country that I love so much. Living here the last year has been one of the best years of my life, so thank you, France.
Well, thank you, Margo, and go and relax and enjoy the rest of this final.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it. I will.
Thanks, Margo.
So just as Margo was chatting there, I was just keeping my eye on Julia Chanaudy on our screen just below our camera, and so far so good for the French athletes.
Yeah, more than 4 minutes left on the clock. Everybody's still figuring out this 4-minute rule, from route setters to climbers, and of course the audience. It's a change for us as well. But Julia's coping with it pretty well at this stage, and this is the rest.
Yeah, chatting with some of the athletes. We'll come back to that in a second, Charlie, because like we said, this is very close to where we've lost the previous two athletes. See what she makes the rest of this. Yeah, I was just saying that, chatting with some of the coaches before, they were saying with the 6-minute rule. Again, I might have to come back to that, because here we go with Julia Chanaudy. This is where we lost two previous athletes. It looks like it's the options of the feet that's the problem. Firing off toe hooks. Oh, sticks at this time. The crowd really likes that. This is good work from Julia. First climbing to get through this section. Really hard fight then, and that move is off a toe hook. That's why they're struggling to get the height, but not such a problem. So Julia sticks another move. This is good fight now. Looking tired, but fighting hard.
And still going, and now she's one move away from getting onto the lower angle terrain. It's still overhanging, but it is at least a relief from this extremely overhanging section right through the middle of this Briancon wall, and it was just a lunge too far. Looked like she actually went slightly past the hold. We'll get a replay for that in just a second. That will be enough for a comfortable lead for Julia Chanaudy.
Yeah, and it starts to give an insight into the next section past 26, the 26th move, and yeah, she was well up into the 30s there, hopefully, in terms of her score. And let's have another look at just what happened. She, could see the fatigue through the arms there, and just struggling to find the feet a little bit, just looking back, and yeah, I think she was totally blown at that point.
Yeah, as I say, just went slightly past the hold. By the time she dropped onto it, the momentum was already taking her down. But superb effort from Julia Chanaudy. She's in the lead.
Charlie, I just want to go back to what we were saying there, just as Julia Chanaudy was going through that section, the 6-minute rule. It was actually one of the route setters saying that he's noticed that when they're setting the routes, they're setting them to be suitable for this 6-minute rule. And it's the younger athletes who seem to be dealing with it better, and they're coming up with the 6-minute rule as kind of the only way. And it's I wouldn't like to say older athletes, but more sort of veteran athletes, people like Mena Markovic who are struggling to make that adjustment. So let's see if that makes a difference in tonight's final.
Here is Mena. Been competing an awfully long time, Mena Markovic, and seemingly enjoying it as much as ever. We had a great moment earlier on this season where she had a big grin on her face as she nailed one of the Crooks moves, and already flying up these lower moves.
And Charlie, you was actually speaking with Mena's coach earlier on today. You said that she's suffering with a few health problems leading into tonight's final.
Yeah, I don't think she was feeling especially well this morning. Nothing too serious, but and all she had for dinner last night apparently was a salad, so no one knows where it came from. But didn't feel great this morning. He seemed to think she was pretty much back on form, though.
Mena Markovic, a real veteran of the game then, 29-year-old from Slovenia. So dominant in 2015. Has won lead and Boulder World Cups.
And as we watch Mena, we've got Julia Chanaudy. Julia, how was it to climb in front of this amazing crowd? You're in the lead as well. Great performance.
Yeah, it was a very physical route. And yeah, I was pumped. I was pumped, and it was so fun to climb with this magic public.
And do you think that you got the moves right? Did you read the sequence correctly, you think?
I think because there are no lot of foot. Yeah, physical, and the holes are so far. I think I do the best.
Well, you're in the lead, so congratulations. You are in first place, so enjoy watching the rest of the final.
Yes, I hope I will stay at this place, but I think other girl can climb higher.
Well, we'll see, but try to enjoy if you can.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
So that's all eyes on Mena Markovic then, with 3 minutes 50 still on the clock. Grimace on the face. Oh, just as we lose her, as soon as we turned our attention to Mena, just slipped, and she seemed to have a kind of struggle to find a body position. You could see on her face just the anguish she was going through there. She realised she was in big trouble and just didn't really seem to have either the body position or the lock off. We have to have another look there. We were sort of halfway through an interview and halfway into reading and watching what Mena Markovic was doing. We'd love to see what happens, and was it just an issue with the route read or what? It would really be really interesting to find out, and that's a real upset from Mena Markovic.
Certainly is. Yes, qualified in 5th place. Let's have another look. She's in the honeycomb.
Just struggling with the right foot to find an option there. She actually ends up getting the drop knee. Just seemed to lose power in the left arm. I'm not 100% sure there. I mean, she's not known for lack of power, so yeah, quite interesting there. She seemed to get herself really tucked up, and I think that means with a large crossover like that, it's quite hard to gain height, and she just seemed to fall short of the next hold.
Yeah, interesting one for Mena Markovic. She'll be disappointed, but it won't be enough. So Julia Chanaudy, who we just spoke to, said hopefully she can hang on to first place, which she has done so far. Out next, Jessica Piltz. She's had something of a monopoly on 5th recently, Villars-Chamonix and the World Games.
Jessica Piltz then, really good effort yesterday. One of the first climbers to get through the Crux section in the semi-final route. Let's see what she can make of this semi-final route. An early fall from Mena Markovic. I do believe we'll be hearing from her shortly. But all eyes then on the Austrian. See what form she's in coming into tonight's final. And we have Mena Markovic. Mena, slightly disappointing climb for you. How was it?
Yeah, definitely. I felt really good, and I just don't know what happened because I was sure I'm on a hold and I'm going further, and I felt really okay, and then I just find myself in on a rope. So yeah, really surprising.
Yeah, and you just seemed to get tucked in with the left arm there. The right foot was just, you were just struggling to find where to put it slightly, or what was it?
Later I decided which foothold I will take and what I will do, and I felt really comfortable about the move. And I just don't know what happened, really.
Yeah. And is there any effect of the conditions, the weather? It's raining a lot, the wall seems fine?
Yeah, maybe it was foot slip or I don't know, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's really hard to see you fall so low down, but you'll be back to fight in another competition. You're going to be here with us in Arco.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you can enjoy the rest of the competition.
Yeah, thank you.
So tough to hear from the athletes when they've had a hard competition and it's not gone so well for them, but it was really nice of her to come up and join us.
Yeah, really good of Mena, fresh down from the wall. Disappointed with her performance. She's been at this a long time though. She's had her ups and downs. Interesting, when you've been at it that long, I think you get over the lows a bit quicker, but and you don't ride the highs for too long either.
Maybe she's just kind of too brave to say, but that illness earlier, the sickness last night, maybe that's affected her performance. She said she didn't really know what happened, but yeah, it's a real shame. It's all eyes on Jessie Piltz then. She gets through this section. This is starting to get up to this position where we lost Mena, and we do hope there's no moisture issues in there. She kind of was saying she doesn't think there is. We'll see.
Yeah, Jessie is one of those climbers you feel could break into these small group of women who seem to be dominating league climbing over the past 18 months. Absolutely got a win in her this season. She's been looking in great form. As I say, fifth in the 3 world level competitions she's been in so far in July. It's been an awfully busy July for the climbers, and she's making the most of the rest very briefly here in Briancon.
As we heard in the interview, Julia Chenaudy, she's actually saying that there's not that many foot options on the route, so there's a lot of kind of more basic moves, a lot of swinging of the feet, and that just keeps it hard all the way. There's kind of, you know, a lot of cutting loose and just cutting your feet across the wall and to find the small footholds. And yeah, that's certainly not going to help kind of in terms of making the routes easy at all. And this is a good fight from Jessie Piltz. We lost 2 of the earlier climbers. We have seen one of the climbers get through this stage. Has a good look. Really tricky on the feet through there. Oh, cuts loose. It really seems to be the feet there that's causing the problem. She tried to stand on the top of the hold. When she fired up with the right hand, the feet went. And once again, we see a climber lost around halfway up the wall. This route is looking as hard as we expected.
Certainly is. And as ever, the final flying by here. Jessie Piltz was the 5th climber out. Only 3 still to come. Let's have another look.
I think it's the feet options here that are so bad. And she's actually trying to fire off of the left foot and smearing with the right foot. And as she has to make quite a long distance to the right and up, the left foot kind of starts to become superfluous after kind of halfway or so through the moves. She loses height, and as you can see, she fell a little bit short of the hold, and it meant body started to rotate, and unfortunately, off she goes.
And without further ado, as we pan out, we will see Jane Kim come onto the stage. Jane, for me, the most impressive climber yesterday. She's known for that slow, smooth style. Some people felt that the 6-minute rule would count against her. And perhaps if we went to some of the longer walls around Europe, they may have done, but on a shorter wall like this in Briancon, she measured her pace absolutely to perfection in the semi-final. Looked smooth, looked untroubled, every move looked like a doddle, pretty much cruised the route. As I say, for me, she was climber of the day yesterday.
Yeah, and as she said in the interview, she topped the qualifying routes, topped the semi-final route. She really wanted to top the finals route. So this is where it really counts now. The next 3 athletes, Jane Kim included, are tied going into this point in the competition. So it's now or never for these 3.
So 42 10-ish moves to go. And Jane Kim, 5:45. As I say, people were wondering how she'd get on with 6 minutes. It doesn't seem to have troubled her at all so far. It certainly didn't trouble her yesterday. If you haven't seen her performance in the semi-final, she was towards the end, probably 15 minutes before the end. Go back and have a look. Immensely impressive climb from her last night here in Briancon.
Yeah, with so many World Cup victories under her belt, you've got to feel that Jane Kim just can take on any new change in the rules, the style. She's just such an incredible athlete, and yeah, I really hope that we can start to see the athletes now pushing for the top of the wall and not too many tops.
Just the 25 lead World Cup wins for Jane Kim. Quarter of a century of World Cup wins, and a boulder one for good measure. And as I say, a bit like we've seen with Romain Desgrange, who's just been hitting extraordinary form in 2017, Jane Kim has looked as good as ever recently. She faces some very, very stiff competition. First job, of course, is to reach and then surpass the high point of Julia Chanaudy, who looked very happy with her performance. And as this final goes on and she sees climbers falling on that extremely tough 26+ move, she's only going to get happier.
Yeah, already secured a 4th place, which is an absolutely astounding result for her. She'd definitely be happy with that, and that smile will continue.
3rd in the World Games for Julia Chanaudy, and she'll get at least a 4th here in Briancon. Dynamic move for Jane Kim, no problem there.
See the way that she's so strong across the shoulders, so stable in the core. As soon as she hits that next hold, just the feet almost levitate across to the right, dial perfectly into the next foothold. Kind of really hits the bullseye on every single hold.
Her smooth style actually is often not quite criticised, but felt to be, some people kind of make out it's a bit one-dimensional, but what they don't realise is just how accurate she is and how accurate you have to be in order to have that style. And as you say, it just seems to hit the bullseye every time.
And that's the move where we lost Mena Markovic. No such issues for Jane Kim then.
That certainly looks slightly easier for the shorter climber.
Yeah.
You're a little less compressed. Mena much taller, and that drop knee just pushed her a bit further out from the wall.
Once again then, climbers cutting their feet left to right, right to left. Jane Kim finding every move, hitting it perfectly. So she's only halfway on the wall at the moment, 3 minutes down, so perfectly on time as it stands. Lots of moves still to go then, as she moves up into around move 26 of 42, so still got a long way to go. Can we see a top here in Briancon? Just short on that hole, she's struggling a little bit. Oh, just off to my right, I can see a slightly better angle, and she kind of just skimmed down the hole slightly. I thought she was in big trouble, but just used that experience, just brought it back in, bumps the right hand up to the middle where she needed it.
Extraordinary power from Jane Kim, and she looked as if she missed the sweet spot on the hold, as Jessie Piltz looked like she did, and yet managed to hold it, and not only hold it, cut the feet off, reposition and carry on, and she seems to have regathered any composure she might have lost, and she's now powering away towards the head wall. So this is where we lost Julia Chanaudy, this next sequence of moves.
Will that slight adjustment on the hold affect her overall fitness on this route? Can we see a top then from Jane Kim? Looking solid, being able to regain her composure on this good hold just before the head wall.
Jane Kim up with the right hand, sticks it no problem.
Just such good body tension, really no movement in the legs. Crowd's really excited now, new high point. This is good work here from Jane Kim. Looking composed still with 1 minute 40 on the clock, plenty of time. One more quick draw to go before the top section and the lower off. Have the route setters nailed it? They cannot afford too many tops here tonight.
Jane Kim, 13 years after her first World Cup, not far away from here in Chamonix. She's still at it in Briancon, taking the lead, taking control of this competition. Only 2 climbers still to come, and Jane Kim looking smooth. Fatigue just beginning to kick in, and she is off. 4 moves short from the top. A superb performance from Jane Kim, and she acknowledges the crowd. It's not often we see her looking tired. She's normally looks so composed, but you can tell that route took a lot out of it. Let's have another look at it.
Yeah, so let's have another look then. It's this big move up to the right hand. It is kind of an undercut side pull that she's going for. Just seemed to be stretched a little bit. Hit it, but didn't hit it with quite enough vigour. It wasn't quite big enough to be able to latch. Obviously she had a few slight slips in the route, nothing too dramatic, but maybe that just sucked the power out of her a little bit. It was a really good fight for Jane Kim with 2 climbers left. It's all about Annek Verhoeven and Janja Garnbret. Can they beat her? And great scenes here once again in Briancon, despite the rain.
Jane Kim just bowing to say thank you to the crowd for their support, and the crowd returning the favour with a standing ovation. They've all now back on their camping chairs, and there you can see the final quick draw before the rope is pulled through. And that move up with the right hand you suspect might be slightly easier for the climbers still to come, Janja and Annek.
It's going to be hard to say just as we wait for the results to update. Jane Kim, there we are, 36 plus. Julia Chanaudy, 30 plus behind her. Jessie Pills, that unfortunate slip, joins the other 2 climbers on 26 plus with 2 climbers left. It's Annek Verhoeven and Janja Garnbret. And Annek, in her interview yesterday, saying she really wants a hard route tonight. I think she's got one.
I think she certainly has. But as I was saying, that move that Jane Kim fell on, I suspect might be slightly easier. Annek in particular, much taller than Jane. And you could see Jane got there, but it was just trying to keep the pressure through the toe was extremely difficult, and it was just too far. But for the 2 climbers still to come, that move might be slightly easier. But then, as we saw with Mena Markovic, some of the moves lower down might be harder. These things do tend to even themselves out, but it'll be interesting to see. So Annek Verhoeven taking her time. She always looks like she's got a plan.
Just look at the composure on her face, not fussed by, I don't know how many people are here, a lot. Just no issues at all. She knows that Jane Kim's going to have had a really good burn on the route there. She knows every trick in the book. She just takes her time, compose herself. This is her opportunity to take away a win. Can it be the first for her in 2017 in the IFSC World Cups?
Yeah, she's not had a bad year already. European champion, World Games champion. Just waiting for that World Cup win. She got 2 last year, of course, Arco and Kran. Very much capable of claiming one here in Briancon. And as I say, it's one of the great venues that we come to. The lead season in particular does seem to take us to the truly iconic climbing venues. Whether it's the high mountains of Chamonix and Briancon, or the beautiful rock architecture of Arco. But Briancon, one of the competitions they really want to win. And I'm sure Annek will have a plan in place here to make the most of this 6 minutes as the sun just begins to set. Wonderful light just behind Annek there. Had all sorts today. Bright sunshine this morning, gave way to cloud, gave way to rain. It looks like it might just be clearing nicely as Briancon descends into darkness and Annek Verhoeven heads up towards the steepest part of the wall.
So we really want to see Annek and Janja Garnbret challenge tonight. Is this the opportunity? Is this the route we've been waiting for? So Annek Verhoeven then working her way through this lower section. So far so good. Just once again looking really composed.
And as we watch Annek, we can speak with Jane Kim. Jane, congratulations. You look like you enjoyed that.
Yeah, but I don't know yet. All the moves was very tricky, but I tried to concentrate all the moves. And the last part, the hold was so wet. So yeah, I think it is hard to, every climber, yes.
It looked as if you were really tired at the top. You just gave 100%. Were you tired at the top? Did you have no more energy, or was it just that move?
I think I have some more energy, but the hold was so bad, so I couldn't catch more on the fling. Yes, but I really wanted to get the top.
But the crowd really enjoyed it.
Yes.
They really were happy with that.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
And do you think this is maybe the hardest route so far this season?
I think so, and then the weather was not so good, so every situation was hard, yes.
It certainly was, but it was great to watch you fight.
Thank you.
And we'll let you get on and watch the rest of this final. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you so much.
So just during that interview, we've been keeping an eye on Annek Verhoeven. No issues so far. Just over halfway on the wall, approaching move 25.
Yeah, interesting insight from Jane Kim. She really wanted the top. Must have been a great feeling topping out yesterday, especially in such control in the semi-final, but no top this evening. Annek Verhoeven, here we go. The 26 plus move sticks it, no problem.
Yeah, she really seemed to find some foot options where other athletes struggled. And Annek Verhoeven is actually having a bit of a tussle here. This move obviously is so hard, as we heard from Jane Kim.
Still got plenty of time though. She's about to hit the slightly lower angled top 5 meters of the wall as the photographer's enjoying a pretty perfect view.
Jane Kim was saying that the top holes she actually felt were wet, so we really hope that the weather is not playing a part here. Where it would be a real shame, but it's not seemed to have slowed down Annek Verhoeven so far. Interesting to see if that plays a part in this top section. Annek Verhoeven's actually really starting to fight quite hard now. This is really what she was looking for. Separation due to the difficulty, not time. Annek Verhoeven then so consistent through the years. Deep lock off there, can really slowly rotate. Sure sign of how hard that section really is. 2 more moves in and she'll be heading for a potential new high point. Is this the opportunity then for Annek Verhoeven to take the lead? Grimacing once again. Slides down that slope with such bad holds here. Here we go then, this is the move where Jane Kim dropped it.
If Annek latches this one, she is in the lead. She clips a quick draw in advance. Possibly got a bit more in the tank than Jane Kim did here. Now she needs to stick this move to take the lead. She does it. That is the lead for Annek Verhoeven. Are we about to see our first top here in Briancon?
You see the elbow starting to raise now. She's really tired. This is a brilliant fight for Annek. One more move, yes, sticks it. This is a fantastic fight. Annek Verhoeven then just a few moves from the top. What can she give us? Oh, absolutely awesome climb. That was brilliant to watch.
Absolutely superb. 1 minute left on the clock. She wasn't troubled for time at all there. She had all the time she needed. But what moves they were. From 5 or 6 moves down, you could see just how hard she was fighting. The elbows were coming out, struggling to keep her feet on. And let's just have a look at one last move.
Just the amount of resistance she must have to the pump in the forearm. She looked quite blown 1 or 2 moves further down, but just kept the fight going. That was really impressive. Just it's really tough when you got such small holds. You know, she completely pumped, but just keeps fighting. But when the holds are that bad, you know, you'll be an incredible athlete to go further than that.
Great job from the route setters again. Remember, we have got a tie all the way through the competition. Janja Garnbret, Annek Verhoeven and Jane Kim. They were tied on every route coming into this. So if they'd all reached the same high point and were in the podium positions, it would have come down to time. That's how the climbers are split. If they're tied all the way through the competition, if they don't finish in the podium positions in the final, they can just be tied, but if they're in the podium positions, it comes down to time on the final route. But luckily, we won't have a tie, certainly for Jane and Annek. Let's see, Janja Garnbret still to come. And Janja Garnbret still hard to believe, relatively new to senior level competitions, but it seems such a familiar position to have her coming out needing a top to win. And I have to say, more often than not, she delivers. And there we see the scores. Annek Verhoeven 38 plus to Jane Kim's 36 plus, and Julia Chanodi is still in the podium positions, 3rd place. Something tells me she would be absolutely over the moon with a bronze medal, but that woman there, Janja Garnbret, can deny her one.
So Janja's actually coming out with sort of shoe covers on, making sure that the boots are 100% dry before she starts this route, and you can see they're just drying off the shoes, making no mistake here for Janja Garnbret. Can we see a top then, the perfect final route? Janja is definitely an athlete who can do that. We've seen it before. Janja Garnbret, the only climber to top a route. Semi-finals back in Chamonix, World Championships back in Paris. Janja Garnbret, surely she can do this.
You can see there, nice new graphic. Annek Verhoeven's high point versus Jane Kim. They weren't far apart in terms of distance, only 2 moves in. It was actually a 36 plus and a 38 plus for both.
See, the plus indicates movement past the previous hold. That's effectively halfway between one hold and the next hold, gives you the plus.
So Yanya's out. The crowd not quite sure what to make of it so far. Just for the first time this evening, silence in Briancon as the MC tries to get them fired up again. It's something very captivating about watching Yanya Garnbret climb. And everyone seems in raptures right now. She's still low down on the route though, a long way to go. And as we keep an eye on Yanya, we've got Annek alongside us. Annek, you said you wanted harder routes in lead finals. Did you get one?
Yeah, it's nice. This was a bumpy route, yeah.
And at the end, just talk us through those last few moves. We could see that your elbows are just beginning to come out. You were getting tired. What was it like, that last few moves?
Well, the moves are okay, actually, but I think I shouldn't have clipped a quick draw. So,
you mean the last quick draw you clipped?
The last one I clipped, yeah.
You think you should have climbed past it? And
Yeah.
where should you have clipped it from?
Well, maybe from the next one or the one after. At least I would have. Yeah, now I don't have these holds, so sometimes it's better to climb past the quick draw even though you can't clip it anymore. So I regret it a bit, but I'm happy with the rest of my climbing though.
Overall, happy with your performance, though, and you enjoyed the route?
Yes, it was okay. It was a little bit slippery. You could feel that it's humid here, it's raining right now, so that wasn't perfect, but it's the same for everyone, of course, but you had to be careful while climbing.
And this move here that we can see Yanya on, we're just watching our screen, by the way, which is right underneath our camera. This move we can see Yanya on, we've seen a lot of the women fall here.
Okay.
This particular move up to the large green volume, this looks like it's one of the real cruxes, but you made it look pretty easy.
The holds are okay, but there are no footholds, like you see here. Yeah.
That's one way of doing it.
Yes. So.
Okay, well, we'll let you get on with watching Yanya, but I'm glad you got the challenge you were looking for, and it was awesome to watch.
Yes.
Such a good fight. So
thank you.
Congratulations, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
So it's all eyes in the arena in Briancon. Pretty much the entire town is out here. Can we see a top from Yanya Garnbret? Can she take on Annek Verhoeven? Can we see the one and only top of this route?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one actually for Annek, because she's giving a live interview but basically desperately trying to watch what Yanya does, but appreciate her time, as with all the athletes. And actually, as we were chatting to Annek, Yanya showed a very rare sign of almost a loss of composure. The feet came off, but instead of panicking, she basically just cranked out a one armor and did the crux move.
Yeah, the way that she just smashed through that section was quite unbelievable, to be honest. And she is an unbelievable athlete as she heads into this top third then. Plenty of time on the clock. Yanya Garnbret way ahead in terms of time.
And as we've had in all the three of the last World Cups, including this one, she's unbelievable, comes on. The DJ's been following us around from Villar and Chamonix, and he's not wrong. She's fighting now, though. Fatigue beginning to kick in. Just a bit messy with the feet, just needs to regain her composure. This is where Jane Kim fell. So Annek was saying she regretted clipping now. What will Yanya do? I think she might clip as well. No, she won't. I think she's going to line up another move.
Oh, I can really see she's in a slight bit of trouble here. Hits the right hand, that's nicely done.
Yanya Garnbret crosses through and takes a big fall. Yanya Garnbret lowers off, and that will be the win for her. It was one move further on. Let's just have another look. Just stuck that move. And although she couldn't get the next one, she was able to latch that hold and move from it. So she will win by one move, I suspect. We'll wait for confirmation.
You can see it on her face. Have I won? Surely not. And really upsetting. I just had a quick chat with Annek. She's really in tears. She was so close to winning. She knew it was all about that quick draw. She was absolutely right in her analysis. Yanya sailed on past it. She knew she was in trouble, went past the quick draw, and it was just enough to get that one more move. Janja Garnbrett takes a win once again in a Lead World Cup. We've said that many, many times.
Well, I mentioned it yesterday. It's now 11 World Cups or World Championships she's entered in lead senior since the beginning of the 2016 season. She's now won 8 of them. 8 of 11. Absolutely extraordinary. Difficult to watch, as I say. Annek Verhoeven's actually still with us for those last few moves. And Janja just latched that move to the right. And it was one move in it. 39 plus for Janja, 38 plus for Annek, 36 plus for Jane Kim. Julia Chanaudy just misses the podium. Jessie Piltz, Margot Hayes, Salome Roman and Mena Markovic making up the rest of the top 8. Superb job from the route setters.
Yeah, a great finals and a really good fight on the top wall. It really did come down to those top 3 in the end. That's what the whole goal was, to separate those 3. And they did it. 36 plus for Jane Kim, Annek Verhoeven 38 plus, and the winner taking 39 plus.
And there you see it. Janja Garnbrett, just one move in it. 3 moves separating the top 3. Doesn't get much better. No top quite. We just missed the last couple of moves. But Janja did just enough to win, and what a fight she had to get there. Not often we see her tax like that. She did what was required, and there is our wall in Briancon. It's still raining here. The wall just about surviving. I was a bit worried about interrupting. I was a bit worried about interrupting Janja's climb when we were chatting to Annika. I wanted to ask her about conditions.
Just having a look, as you can see, that's one of the route setters on the wall, just checking the conditions for the men's route. It has been raining pretty much consistently throughout the women's final. So the route setters just checking the conditions, making sure it's fair for everybody. Like I said, there is an incredible sunset off to our right, but it is raining. The men's competition will be next, assuming that we have no issues or no time delays with the rain.
And there is your start list. Stefano Ghisolfi will be first out. As ever, the climbers coming in reverse order from how they qualified out of the semi-finals. So Stefano Ghisolfi, he qualified 8th. Sean Mccoll was 7th. Thoroughly enjoying the lead season, it would seem. Naoki Shimatani will be out. Then Sean Bailey, Marchello Bombardi, the last man to win a Lead World Cup. Amazing win for him in Chamonix. Masahiro Higuchi, Sebastian Halenka. Everyone looking forward to seeing him in the final as ever. And Romain de Grange.
There was actually only 3 scores from 8 athletes going in from the semi-final round. 5 climbers got the same score from semi-finals, 36 plus. One climber got 36 and 2 got 35 plus. There's not actually that many, there was not much separating all of the athletes in the final as we have a look at the overall standings for this year.
Yeah, so Romain de Grange leading the way, Marcello Bombardi and Yuki Hada just behind him, 116 points, but Roman seems to be in the form of his life. Koichiro Koronaga is currently in 4th. Domen Skofic is in 5th, last year's overall World Cup winner. Jan Hoyer, generally seen in the bouldering competition, but he had a superb 4th in Vilar earlier this year. He's 6th. Stefano Ghisolfi, not quite found the form we know he's capable of. Won a World Cup last year in Xiamen. Fedir Samoilov, Christoph Hanke, who's already made a final this year, and Hannes Puman down in 10th place. That's the current top 10.
So from the semi-finals then, as we said, 5 climbers went through with the same score. They ended up getting separated by count back from the qualification round. So not the same issues as we have in the women's category. The climbers are already separated, even though they did tie going into the finals. It's Sean Bailey, Marcello Bombardi, Masahiro Higuchi, Sebastian Halenke and Romain de Grange all qualified with a score of 36 plus from the semi-finals. And climber from Japan, Shimatani, just behind him with 36. But with Stefano and Sean Mccoll just behind those two, tantalising final here in the men's.
Certainly is, and that is live sunset in Briancon.
I really think the weather is about to do us a very, very big favour. It's currently still raining, but there is a sunset and the clear blue skies coming across from the right, so I think we could be in for a perfect set of weather for tonight's men's finals. And the route setters have come down from the wall, seemingly happy. It's hard to tell exactly. They're a good 30 or 40 metres away from us, but the route setters are packing up. I've just got the thumbs up from the head route setter across the stage. He nicely looked over and gave us the thumbs up, so men's wall is good. Looks like we're going to be cracking on very shortly with the men's observation, and then after that it will be tonight's final.
Red sky at night, Shepherd's Delight, and that's what we've got. As I say, it's been all sorts of a day here in Briancon. Lovely and sunny this morning. And, only the final this evening, so the athletes and everyone involved with the competition's been able to enjoy the local area a bit. And unfortunately, the rain just started up with comedy timing an hour and a half before our scheduled start. We got underway half an hour later than anticipated. The crowd, as ever, enormous here in Briancon. Estimate is 8,000, I'm told.
It's actually a little bit hard to know where that rain's coming from, because as far as I can see, there aren't really any grey or black clouds above us. So I'm sure very shortly that will blow over, and we'll be in for a fine set of conditions here for a men's final. And you know, it really has to be right, though. They can't send the athletes off. The competition has to be fair from the start to the finish. There's absolutely no way they can afford damp holds. That really wouldn't be a fair event. But like we said, the route setters have given us the thumbs up. They are happy. This is one of the cameras gets a wipe down. So we have a pause as well as the local MC revs everybody up. I think they're actually throwing raffle prizes off the top of one of the cherry pickers. So watch your eyes.
I think that is what's happening. They put on a great show here in Briancon. The little tent stage area where we're established is there was a live band playing just before we came on. They were interrupted by the thunder and lightning. The venue MC getting everyone to use the lights on their phones. Back in the day, of course, I remember the days when they used to do that with cigarette lighters. And now it's iPhones only.
Out come the prizes then. The scrum starts for those down at the front, as we are just waiting for the male athletes to make their way from the isolation zone to the wall for their 6 minutes observational period. Men's route tonight then, 42 moves, very similar to the women's. Very continuous style with a lot of hard individual moves we've been promised. So a little bit less consistent than the women's in terms of the style. A lot of committing hard moves though, with a few pauses in between them. So it's going to be really interesting to see what style of athlete will make the most of that. Will it be the pure endurance climbers or some of the athletes with kind of more power and a few more tricks up their sleeve? It is the red route on the right hand side of the wall.
You can see how much the crowd are enjoying that. Our camera's shaking. I believe we're just minutes away. The men were scheduled to start at 9, but the half-hour delay has just pushed everything back slightly. No issues, of course, with minimum rest periods. If we have the semi-final on the same day as the final, with our minimum rest period rules that apply, but not today. This is the first competition action of the day here in Briancon, and as I say, everyone from the athletes, the coaches and everyone else has been out enjoying the town and the local mountains. Been a pretty wonderful day, I have to say. Shame the rain couldn't hold off for another 12 hours, but you can't have everything. And conditions seem to be just about okay on the wall.
Yeah, like we said, the route setters have given the thumbs up. It is spitting, as we said earlier, but it's looking like it's definitely going to dry up. The wall is absolutely fine. It's the crowd keeping entertained by pretty much everybody's just throwing stuff at them at the moment, which is great. Sure the sponsors will be happy.
Yeah, well, you can't knock free kick, can you?
No, I'm actually going to drop the microphone and go and try and get some myself.
That's the sound of Mike Langley rugby tackling a few small children out the way. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley in the commentary box this evening here in an unfortunately damp Briancon. Not too damp to stop this final, and certainly not enough to dampen the spirits of this local crowd. And nice to see most of the umbrellas come down now. We're actually under shelter. It's all right for some, we're under cover, but the fact that the umbrellas are down would suggest that It's not raining anymore. The crowd are not getting wet. Long may it last.
I think you can see actually there's a bit of that's actually with the cameras mounted on the wall. It's just dripping off of the wall in front of the camera, so it's not actually raining outside at the moment, which is good news. And we're going to have another look back at our female winner tonight, Janja Garnbret's performance. So Charlie, once again, Janja just showing her form.
Yes, the DJ always plays. She's unbelievable. You're unbelievable, and it's hard to disagree. Extraordinary performance. We've seen it so many times. As I say, hard to believe it's only a couple of years she's been in the scene. It seems like the standard end almost to a lead competition is that Janja comes out needing a big result, and generally she finds it. She had a bit of a wobble a bit lower down. It's good to watch the whole of her climb. You can see there where she was aiming for.
It was quite interesting because in the interview with Annek, I think she knew really in herself that Janja had a really good chance of surpassing her. She knew it was going to come down to that quick draw and the moves there.
Yeah, she was climbing quickly at this point, Janja, and there we go, back to normal speed.
That's quite impressive there for a certain moment. I mean, I knew she climbs fast, but...
And Yulia Kaplina was getting nervous then, I think. Yeah, it just seems to be the inevitable end at times to a competition, and it doesn't make it any less exciting. It's just extraordinary the levels that this woman is attaining. It'd be good if we could just stick with this replay.
At this stage in the route, she was just doing her thing, just looking so composed. And it was actually further up in the route where, for the first time in many Lead World Cup competitions, she actually started to struggle a little bit. I think it's really good to see the athletes tested like this. You know, we've seen a lot of tops, obviously throughout Chamonix and the qualification, the semi-final, and it's fantastic to see them starting to try hard. It's good to see where the limit is.
Certainly is. She had something resembling a wobble in another 10 or so moves, Janja. It's hard not to feel ever so slightly sorry for her competition as well, because it's one thing if she comes out and cruises the route and tops it, but just to get that one extra move, it just seems like she can always just find that 1%. I don't know where it comes from, but she always just seems to locate it.
You wonder if that's just 1% extra fitness than the other athletes, or just something within her that just pushes her a little bit further.
Doubly amazing because, of course, she wouldn't have known where Anna got to. And to just get that one more move, it's almost crushing for her rival. She just seems to always find a way. Generally, she finds a way with a bit left in the tank. This was absolutely emptying the tank, but it's just one move more.
So for you guys at home who may nipped off to make a cup of tea, this is a replay of the Briancon winner from slightly earlier on, 10 or so minutes ago. And in the arena here, actually, the replay that you're seeing is on the big screen, and everybody is just watching in awe once again. Fantastic to be able to watch it back once again and just see. I mean, this next move, Charlie, was incredible. We were interviewing Annek at the time, and she just kind of lost her feet a little bit and thought, you know what, I don't need my feet.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. This move spat off World Cup final standard climbers.
So we have another look, and this is oh, that was incredible, really.
As I say, even with feet on, there are previous World Cup winning climbers who were spat off by that move, and Janja just campused it. No feet required.
Yeah, that was where we lost multiple climbers who were really struggling to find the feet. Just to be able to campus through that section, and this is the last section then. This is where she surpassed Annek Verhoeven for the win.
Yeah, once she latched that right hand rather than instantly falling when she touched it, she'd won the competition. Just got the plus by moving on.
So as you can see, the men's competition is very close to starting, and that gives us a good opportunity to interview our head route setter once again.
Jan, welcome back, second time up here. How was the women's final for you? Pretty happy with your work?
Yeah, we were happy. We challenged the top girls that they were fighting, and we got some results, so it's nice.
And I guess you were hoping for a top. What were the conditions like at the top? Was it slightly damp? Do you think that might have been the reason that we didn't see a top?
No, we were hoping to split them and challenge them. We were not really planning on having a top. Okay. We just wanted to give them a route hard enough so they can fight and they can find out who is the best. So we are happy.
Yeah, great evening's work, superb final. And how are conditions? We just saw you cleaning off the men's route, just having a look at the conditions. Is the wall damp?
The right part of the wall got a little bit more damp, but the holes are dry right now. The little problem was with the rust, which came from behind the wall, that the volumes may be a little bit slippery. So I wanted to check the conditions of the holes just before we let the male climbing, just to be sure that it's not like a disaster.
And as it stands, you're actually happy with the conditions? You're happy for the route to go ahead?
Yeah, we are happy. Like, you know, like it's always like a big question mark before the final, and you are very nervous. So once one final is finished, you are halfway, then we are half happy, and hopefully the second final will be at least as good as this one.
Just as the athletes are being presented to the crowd, shortly we'll be able to have a look at this men's route. So if you could just stick with us for a few minutes, and hopefully you'll be able to describe this men's route for us.
Okay, I'll do my best.
That man there, Sebastian Halenke. Happy to be back in finals, not been super happy with his performances so far. He says there's nothing wrong physically. Feels in great shape. One man that's certainly in great shape is that man. Hidden behind the cap, there he is. Romain Legrange waited an awful long time for his first World Cup win, but when it rains it pours, and it's been pouring wins for Romain Legrange this year.
A real nervous tension around the arena here as the local MC gets the crowd ready for the final. They will go into their 6 minutes observational period, and it'll be our first real good look at the men's route.
So Jan, really challenging route for the women. What can we expect from the men?
It's a little bit different style of the route. It starts right from the first quick draw. The field of the men is like all 8 men can be the winners. So we want to give them right, to fight for it. We had the 3 top girls. Now we have 8 men to fight for the first place. So it starts from the first quick draw. And there are a lot of little boulder sections when you have to really commit. You have to go 100%. Sometimes you don't want to do the move, but you just have to force yourself to do the move. Alberto Niero and Carles Brasco were working on this route a lot. And it's I don't want to call it old school. It's more like a natural style of climbing. You have a lot of footholds and drop knees and a lot of little tricks, but you have to find on the wall. So it's not just campusing, but you have to find all the little footholds and little delicate positions. And if you find it very quickly, then you don't get pumped and you can go quite high. But there is a move and you can spend 2 or 3 seconds just hesitating what I do, and then you are pumped and it's over.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been here from early on this morning, making sure that these routes work. You've been testing them a lot this day in particular, but this week I'll put a lot of work into the testing to make sure that the route works for the finals.
Yeah, we always do that. Every competition is different, so you learn from the climbers and you learn round from the round. And we saw a lot of new things we didn't know in the semi-finals. So we had the start list for the final. We knew who is competing. We know how strong they are. We know how tall or short they are. So we wanted to make sure that these climbs are the perfect question for them, and they will get the good competition.
What I'm interested in actually is we've got an incredibly strong final lineup here in Briancon. You look, we've got Stefano Ghisolfi, Sean Mccoll, Sebastian Halenke, Romain Legrange, 4 World Cup winners there, Marchello, Bombard, 5. When you see the semi-final last night and you see what the lineup will be for the final, do you change the route slightly when we have such a strong final?
You don't adjust it for somebody. It's more like you make sure that you don't cut somebody out. If there is somebody really, really short and you have the first move, like it's a big spectacular dyno, then you think it twice, like, do I leave it or not, But we want to give everybody a chance to fight for the victory. So we adjust the rules like this. And also, like, if you know that the final is not so strong and you want to have some tops, you make it easier. If you know that you have super strong final like today, then yes, you may make it harder. So today we were making it mostly harder.
So when you watch the semi-final and you're making those adjustments, does it help you if the semi-final is not on the same day as the final? Do you prefer that?
Yeah, we have usually
more time.
Yeah, we have more time to do these adjustments. So yes, it helps, and also we can climb on the routes. When it's at the same day, then usually the public is there. They are watching, the climbers are watching, so we can do the adjustments, but we cannot test the routes. So we cannot show them how the moves are supposed to be done. So it's harder for us, it's more imagination. But today we could tie on and get on rope and we were testing the routes.
At the same time, that's a long wait for you to get nervous, just waiting all day. You make sure you keep yourselves busy. Like how do you deal with that? You got all day to wait before the finals.
No, you just mentioned it. You just have to keep yourself busy, and it's easy here in the Briancon when it's so many things to do and so many things to fix. So you just keep working early in the morning and you don't stop till now.
And just give us an insight, what time did you start working on the finals routes this morning? And what time did you stop?
Now today we had a lazy day. We started at 7 o'clock
7 in the morning?
In the morning.
Oh, it's only a half day.
Yeah, I have the old team, I don't want to force them to work, but they are super fast, so it's good. So I think we did enough, we did what we could. We stopped working at around 5 o'clock when the rain came, and after that we were just drying the wall and making sure that the holes are dry and prepared.
And you didn't make any last second adjustments after the rain?
After the rain we made one, because Alberto was changing the top section of the mail, and we were discussing one hole, and then when we were drying the holes we were thinking, okay, we do it, so we made little adjustment.
Okay, does it make you nervous, the last minute adjustments? Or are you used to it now?
You mean like more nervous?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it doesn't go any higher, so it's okay.
If we were to put you on a spot, then you said already that anybody in the male lineup could win tonight. Have you got someone out there you think, for me, they're a standout athlete? Who do you think could win?
I don't think about anybody. I hope they get nice numbers, I think all the numbers. So I hope there will be no same numbers in the results. And this is more important for me, and I hope everyone will be safe and they will be fighting and they will be having fun.
But speaking of numbers, you had 5 climbers going through to the final with the same score. Obviously they were sorted out in countback, but you've got 5 climbers on 36 plus from the semi-final. How do you sort of separate that? Is that something you think about? Do you think back to the semi-final round?
With the girls, yes. With the boys, not really, because they are so different. And we made little mistake in the semi-final. It was at the beginning a little too easy and then a little too hard at the end. So yeah, different climbers fell at the same move. But here it's completely new competition for them, new challenge, new question. So we are not too stressed about the same score from the semi-final. We are stressed about the same score what they can get today.
Okay, well, Jan, I know the women's competition went fantastically, but now the nerves start all over again, and you have to sit and watch the men's. I hope you can enjoy it, and thank you for talking to us.
Okay, thank you guys. Good luck.
Thanks, Jan.
Great to hear from the head route setter once again. A really fascinating insight to what it takes to be an IFSC international route setter. Basically, a lot of early starts.
Yeah, really interesting as well to hear how much work they did on the routes today. We often have semi-finals and finals on the same day, but really interesting to hear they worked from 7 till 5 on the route. I think in the women's competition you really saw the effect of that work. As Jan said, if they have the semi-final in the morning, they may not have much time and they have to chuck the final route up. They will have prepared it earlier in the week, but they have to chuck it on the wall. They might have an hour to have a quick look at it, but they haven't got that time to really mull over who's in the final, who might do well on it, who might struggle, and really make it fair. And great to hear that they had 9 hours of work. How's my maths?
But that's
10 hours of work.
That's 10 hours of work with the route already on the wall. That's just 10 hours of tweaking, adjusting, thinking, just to get it perfect for a World Cup. Not long now then to the start of the route. The rope is being pulled down from the observational period. The cameramen are making their way into the sky. Really looking forward to tonight's men's final.
Yeah, that looks amazing. Cherry picker heading up into the Briancon night.
I think we should get our commentary booth up there next year. As long as there's no lightning like we saw earlier.
I hate going in the cherry picker. I'll stay right where I am. So as with the women's competition, each man will have 6 minutes to attempt this route. First out will be Stefano Ghisolfi. Sean Mccoll will be out second. In the last 2 live streams when we've chatted to him live, Sean's described his bouldering season as a disaster. Said it twice now, so I don't feel too bad saying it. It's pretty much spot on. Didn't enjoy the bouldering season at all. Absolutely loving the lead, it would seem.
Well, it's going to be interesting with Sean on a route like this, because as we heard from the head route setter, the route actually contains a lot of individually hard moves with a few, I wouldn't really like to call them rest, but a few pauses in between. So potentially for someone like Sean, this could be the kind of route up his street. As the first climber gets introduced to the crowd then, the Italian Stefano Ghisolfi. 7th last time out in Chamonix.
Yeah, came out with a chance to win in Chamonix. Had he topped the route, he would have won. Couldn't quite manage it. Slight choreography issue there. Stefano not quite ready. He's been introduced. Luckily his time hasn't started. As we saw with the women, he'll have an observation period of his own as well.
You do wonder if they're just making sure that their kit is fully dry back there. Obviously the rain has stopped, but there's a lot of moisture dripping off the tents and across the floor. So hopefully for Stefano there's no issues, and I'm sure he'll get reintroduced very shortly, and we can restart that whole piece again. That's fine.
Exactly. Just missing out actually on today's final was Domen Skofic, winner last year here in Briancon. Ended up in 9th place, tied in the semi-finals with the climbers above him, but on count back to the qualifying round just missed out in 9th place. Interesting chatting to him yesterday. He said he just needs a bit of a break, I think, psychologically and physically, struggling with a bit of a shoulder injury, but he is planning to compete in Munich and Arco, so assume again. But if you're wondering where Domen Skoffic's dominant force of 2016 is, he's not in the final. Also, Lurk Timmermans missed out, finalist in Chamonix, Francesco Vetterati. It was a strong semi-final in the men's yesterday.
Just to mention also for Koichiro Koronaga, the Japanese athlete, had the same score as Domen Skofic, missing out on a finals position on countback also. So tough for those guys. Koichiro obviously on good form this season, winning the World Games, but missed out by a whisker for tonight's final.
By a whisker, yes. Max Rudiger as well of Austria also had a great day. Brilliant fight from him. Ended up down in 12th, not quite, but he looked like a man who could find himself in a final before the year's out. As we get a final look at the bottom section of this route here in Chamonix. We are on a slight delay. The men were scheduled to climb at 9. It's now 9:30. We had a very poorly timed rain shower earlier on today, and there's a good look at the lower section of this route. Yeah. Jan Zabranek, as he said, extremely strong set of finalists, and the route adjusted accordingly.
Yeah, it's so hard to pick a winner out of that start list. It's a really, really impressive lineup. So many strong climbers, so many years of experience amongst them as well. Romain de Grange, Stefano Ghisolfi, Sean Mccoll, just athletes with so many years experience, lots of World Cup wins between them. And then you got the younger climbers, Marcello Bombardi, and people like, just as my start list flaps in the wind, Sebastian Helenke, obviously really young athletes, and pushing for more and more finals in the Lead World Cup. Stefano Ghisolfi then makes his appearance at last.
Elle est encore trop jeune pour qu'on fasse trop de compètes pour elle. Il y en a eu trop cette saison. Et franchement, 9 à falaise, 16 ans, taillée comme une arbalète, incroyable.
Ouais, c'est la même génération, le même âge exactement que Brooke Raboutou, qu'on a vu aussi sur cette compétition, ou que Ashima, l'autre américaine. Donc dans quelques années, ça va être un régal.
So, Stefano Ghisolfi is on the route. Very evocative heartbeat type music being pumped out by the DJs, trying to build the climbers up as they get higher on the wall. Right now it's just building up the tension.
This is what the route setter went up to check this volume to make sure it wasn't too damp. There was a slight dampness on it, but he dried it off and the final got underway. You can see Stefano really having to put the power down early on in this men's route. A lot of hard committing moves is what we're expecting. So Stefano Ghisolfi then up to the third quick draw, and really starting to fight already. Really hard start to the final here in Briancon, and Stefano, obviously last time out, Charlie, in Chamonix, Stefano was one of the athletes who looked like he could have topped the route but had a really nervous way all the way through, came out last and then fell off where he really wouldn't have expected him to, and he's looking a little bit nervous once again here.
Yeah, really having to fight low down here, Stefano Ghisolfi. Only 24 years old, but he's been at this a long time already. First World Cup 2009 in Chamonix. Won in Xiamen 2016. You might remember we were in the most amazing venue there in Xiamen, in amongst all some enormous skyscrapers in the financial district. We'll be back there later this year. Meanwhile, Stefano, he's onto the angle change, he's onto the steepest section of the wall, and this section of the wall is well past 45 degrees, so when you see how poor those holds are, it gives you some insight into the challenge set by the route setters today.
A challenge it certainly is, and that's what we've seen from Stefano Ghisolfi through the lower section. Seems to have regained his composure a little bit, but had to really start to fight through that bottom wall, and I really not 100% sure if the conditions have played a part, but Stefano just taking a moment, taking in some air.
Yeah, you can see already this route physically taxing. And to give you some idea, he's approaching halfway on the route, so with just over half his time remaining, you'd have thought the pace pretty much spot on.
Stefano wiggling and a really nice heel hook above his hand there. That was fine work, well read, and just seems to hit a slightly easier section of the wall. This is what we was expecting, and then once again we'll see the moves increasing in difficulty. Fires up again, really firing in the heel hooks nicely here for Stefano.
Really strong performance so far. You can tell he's having to work hard, but he's in control, and when he needs to regain his composure, he's finding an opportunity to do so, and when he needs to crank, he's finding a way of doing that as well.
So he's looking up at the top section, but he's got to go round the houses to get there past this really committing move to the right. Here he goes. Oh, nicely done for Stefano Ghisolfi.
And the crowd enjoyed that one. They know that's a big risk move. You're in a World Cup final in one of the biggest World Cups of the year, Briancon, in front of 8,000 people. You take a big risk like that, they appreciate it.
So this is really what we're expecting then, committing moves and a few rests in between. Let's hope the rests aren't too good.
It's such a steep section of wall. This Stefano, he's obviously got a pretty good rest there. Gets the crowd going.
Gets the crowd going, but also looks down at the time. He has burnt a lot to get to this point. Just over 2 minutes remaining. A lot of the route still to go. Stefano Ghisolfi really needs to get a bit of a shuffle on here.
Just to give you some idea, the angle does change on the next panel. You can see a quick draw hanging down top of your screen there. That quick draw's at the angle change. That's where things will ease off slightly, but Stefano, he must have been at this rest point at least 30 seconds. Now he gets moving again.
Bumps the right hand out to adjust the heel, then drops back down to this hold. Stefano Ghisolfi going to be a little bit stretched up to this next move, but hits it nicely. Tiny pinches here, and now he's got his skates on. He's moving fast. He's going to have to end up matching that hold. Stefano seems to be finding a few decent rests here, but matching the sloper now before heading back. Oh, nicely done. Doesn't match at all. My mistake. Stefano Ghisolfi read the route perfectly. Here we go.
Now he's fighting this. Nervous moments for the route setters. Have they overcooked it, undercooked it? We shall find out. Stefano Ghisolfi sets an early high point.
Stefano Ghisolfi then has to go feet first through that section and then bring his hands down to where his feet are. So I think we can see another spectacular move there. Let's have another look how he got on. You can see his left heel there. I think that's where he needs his left hand. And he has to drop the left heel out and drop the left hand on kind of simultaneously.
Interesting to see there. As I say, he used up about probably 30 seconds resting on a decent hold. Whether that paid off or not, I don't know. Certainly looked very physical up to that point. It was a good rest. So I think we might see future climbers doing something pretty similar.
Future climbers potentially, but Sean Mccoll is known as a sprinter and he is out next. Sean Mccoll just kind of less of your classic endurance climber, more of just a speed climber when it comes to the routes, and I can't imagine Sean will be milking the rest that much, not in the same way that we saw Stefano, but Yeah, we'll see. Ilse's got to get that far to begin with.
Sean Mccoll is out onto the stage. The quick draw swinging from where the rope was pulled down from Stefano. And there he is, Sean Mccoll, 29-year-old from North Vancouver in Canada. We will be over in Canada next year for the World Youth Championships on Vancouver Island.
So the legend that is Sean Mccoll, the veteran and the true all-rounder, starts his campaign in Briancon.
Hey. Yeah, good. You? Okay.
I want to wish a big birthday to Mr. Murdoch from Canada. 19 years old tonight. Happy birthday, guy.
So Sean Mccoll just making the most of his 40 seconds period, making sure his shoes are dry, making sure everybody is happy.
And as we watch Sean set off, we've got a very special guest alongside us, Stefano. Talk us through the route. It looks so physical.
It was, for me, pretty hard. The beginning was a bit weird, not so easy. And then I was okay at the rest. I took my time. And then the next move was really hard. I don't know if maybe I did a mistake with my feet, but otherwise it's really hard.
And did you feel like you rested for too long? Or was that a good thing? You stayed on that hold for maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah, the hold was pretty good, so I didn't rest too long, yeah. The time was running out, so I could have rested maybe better, but then maybe I didn't understand the next move.
And how do you feel about your season so far in 2017? Pretty happy?
It started not in the best way, but I think it's going to be better.
Okay. Well, really enjoyed watching you. It was a really good fight.
Thank you very much.
Go enjoy the rest of the final. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
So that was Stefano Ghisolfi, but it's all eyes on Sean Mccoll for the moment. As we expected, Sean, a really high pace through the lower section, just taking a moment to take in the route, having a look up, trying to remember as many sequences as possible.
And as you rightly predicted, Mike, Sean not hanging around, not phased either by the dynamic moves low down.
Classic example, just as you say that, cutting the feet time and time again, Sean Mccoll, and that's a move that we saw Stefano having a bit of a second guess at. No issues so far for Sean Mccoll. Here we go then, the big committing to the right. It's the sort of move he enjoys. Oh, just dragged slightly on the hold, but no issue in the end.
I did think for a split second they might have just dragged too much and we might just see Sean Mccoll peeling off, but no, and he gets to the rest point with 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it's almost a minute quicker than Stefano Ghisolfi was at this point. Sean Mccoll kind of sticking to form. How much of the rest is he going to make? Just takes a look down at the clock.
Obviously been watching replays of YouTube when Yone Kruder had the kind of half mohawk shaved head kind of combo going on. He's obviously trying to emulate it. He's been keeping us entertained with his haircuts, certainly during the lead season, Sean, and with his climbing. He's looking great in the lead 2017.
So this is the method what we saw Stefano go, using the right hand to locate the right heel. He doesn't seem to have it on 100% right there. Hope that's not going to cause him an issue as he moves up, because he has got a big move up now, but he seems happy with the feet. Sean Mccoll then with just over 3 minutes left, looking composed.
Spilling a lot of chalk. It's still windy here in Briancon. Conditions improving though. It has stopped raining as Sean Mccoll just manages to keep the feet on. How will he read this move?
Same method of Stefano through here, facing out to the crowd for the clip. Sean Mccoll really looking like a different athlete to what we saw him in the Boulder season this year. Reads it as a match. This is what Stefano was talking about, wasn't 100% sure of the sequence. Sean doesn't lead with the feet, it's a completely different method here. This looks like a lot more conventional method, potentially a lot more success. As Sean drops onto that, has to try really hard to locate the right hand. Recovers it nicely, the elbows raised there for a second. Sean Mccoll then putting in a good fight on to the head wall now.
So Sean, even at this early stage, takes a very early lead. He's ahead of Stefano Ghisolfi, but my oh my, he's having to work for it. He'll go up with the left hand. He's just creeping that left hand up. It seems like it's 5 or 6 desperate moves in a row now. And just launched for one more.
Sean Mccoll taking his kind of the sort of dino off of the wall as he likes to do. He knows when he's out of there. He had options for the feet to the left, but I think he was completely pumped by that point. Let's have another look. Just searching for the options for the left hand. It was a stretch to an undercut. There is a red hold far out on the left, but a great bird from Sean Mccoll, putting on a great show once again.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It looked like 3 or 4 moves out from there. He was absolutely at his wit's end, but he just kept finding one more move, and makes you realise what a challenge someone's in for if they want to top this route. The pump, the tiredness seemed to come really quickly for Sean there. Sean's one of the athletes who's really good, always happy to speak to us after his climb, so we'll get an insight from him hopefully.
Yeah, it was a good fight from them, Sean. I think, I don't know, you seem to see in his face just before he started, seems to be focused a lot more tonight than he seemed to be in Chamonix. In Chamonix, he seems to be just kind of enjoying himself, whereas this, he's obviously enjoying himself, but he just seems to be like, right, I'm in this.
He's in the zone.
Yeah.
Binaki Shimatani out next. Let's have another look at Sean, yeah. I think he, and we also saw him fly back onto the wall. Let's have another look.
There's an absolutely massive lob he takes off here. This is brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think the belay was quite expecting it. It's an incredibly dynamic belay.
Slightly more bit of slack and he would have been joining us quicker than he expected.
I think so, yeah. Another 3 or 4 metres, it might have been a bit too dynamic. So Naoki Shimatani, Briancon, his first World Cup of 2017. Again, just take his time, 40 seconds before he has to climb. And I can see Sean Mccoll make his way over to us. And
Sean Mccoll leapfrogging onto the stage, he's psyched.
We're good to go, Sean. Sean, you just vaulted onto our stage. It's about a metre high. You've got plenty of energy left.
Well, it's funny. I was wondering what you were going to say about my haircut.
I said you've been watching the replays on YouTube from when Yerne used to kind of have the half and half.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of my buddy Kyle Murdoch's 19th birthday. So yeah, big shout out to him. And I told him if I made finals, he could cut my hair.
He's done a good job, don't worry. You're easily recognisable. Amazing fight at the end there. It looked like half a dozen moves from where you fell. You were just, the pump really kicked in, it seemed.
It was actually, yeah, the bottom was a lot harder than I anticipated, which is actually good because I like routes that are really hard at the beginning. And even the jump, I didn't know it was going to be two-hand, and I like almost fell on the jump.
Yeah, it looked as if you kind of snagged a foot or something.
I jumped and I was like, oh, the jump is good. And I hit the hold, I was like, I'm going to fall. And then I didn't fall, and I was like, that's kind of weird. And then on the microphone, I could hear it because I was in a rest. He was like, oh yeah, it looked like you kind of screwed up. And I was like, yeah, I definitely screwed up there. But then at the very top, right before I fell, I was actually really happy because I barely hit that hold. I managed to get my foot up and actually reestablish on the volume enough to get the next hold and a good plus. It might come down to those 2 holds. Probably it won't, but I was really happy just with my final performance.
It looked as if you read the sequence pretty well on the top section.
It's funny too because I thought for sure it was a rose. A rose. They always do a rose in Briancon. I was previewing with Sean Bailey, and I was like, no, it's a rose. They always do a rose, and I got there, and I was like, oh man, it's not a rose. If Sean does a rose, it's my fault. I hope he's just, calm enough up there to match hands and go with his instincts, and I think he can probably get a medal.
Well, you've got 100 World Cups experience on him. You read it right. Hopefully he will too.
He did read it right. I really hope he does well.
Yeah, me too. But great to watch. It was an awesome fight. Great show as ever.
Thank you.
Thanks for talking to us, Sean.
Great to hear from Sean Mccoll. Oh, and just as we lose the Japanese athlete in the nick of time, Sean Mccoll is just next to us, just looking at the results as the Japanese athlete. An early fall on the route. That's the first time we've seen someone falling at that position.
Naoki Shimatani. I was just wrapping up, turning off Sean McColl's microphone, and I just saw him fall out the shot. Let's have another look at it.
Just after we have a look at this, you can just see, I don't know quite what happened there. He just seemed to slip or just seemed to run out of power early. Just wanted to explain something for the guys at home. Sean McColl was talking a lot about a rose move. That is a nickname for a move that's famous from a route in boots called, the French is not going to be good enough to pronounce this correctly, but Rose and the Vampire. Basically, it's a really large crossover, the right hand crossing through to the left hand, or generally a big cross with the hands. When he says a rose move, that's what he means. It's a large cross through, generally with 1 foot on.
Yeah, no Kishi Mitani. As I say, we'll try and get another replay of that if we can. As I say, it's just... Oh, here we go. So, it looked to me as if he perhaps got a little bit tangled up in the rope. You can see already his left knee was perhaps distracting him, just rushing against a quick draw. Didn't look like the most comfortable position. Any thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a tangle of the rope, but also just the left hand on the volume. There's quite a few options there. There's a few kind of footholds or thumb catches. He didn't quite know where to get them, and I think that kind of the combination of those things, yeah, caused him definitely some problems.
Yeah. As ever, great to speak to Sean Mccoll. You know you're going to get a very honest, enthusiastic response.
I'm actually struggling to kind of rebuild after that interview.
You have to kind of dial back down again. So here's the second Sean of the evening, Bailey this time. Fourth in Villar in 2016. That was only his second World Cup. Chamonix 2016 was the first. The week before it. So not been in the lead World Cups that long, but making pretty solid progress.
So it was great sportsmanship from Sean Mccoll to say he really wanted to see Sean Bailey read the sequence. They had a lot of discussion about that top sequence, whether it was a crossover rose move or something else. So it's going to be really interesting. Hopefully we'll see Sean Bailey get that high, but it's great to see Sean Mccoll really egging on a fellow competitor.
It'd be an interesting gauge of time actually to see when Sean Bailey can get to what's proven to be a decent rest. Sean Mccoll got there with 4 minutes to go, so assuming that Sean Bailey gets there, it's a good gauge of how their pace is going. Sean looks like he's just struggling to find his rhythm just at this stage, just easing into the climb, slightly jerky movements. Yeah, we heard for the moment.
We heard from Stefano Ghisolfi just how tricky, and he called it weird at the time, how weird this first section was. Hard to find the rhythm, hard to find the flow. Also the nerves will be playing a huge part in the competition as well. Sean Bailey, just 20 years old and looking so rounded as an athlete already. So Sean Bailey looking really good so far, showing that composure that he showed earlier on in the season, 16th last time out in Chamonix, and 8th made the finals in Villar. So Sean Bailey just struggling with the quick draws a little bit there. That's actually the same quick draw that we saw the Japanese athlete struggling with. Oh, it's fine work there. Good cut loose. The crowd really appreciated that.
Certainly did. Sean Bailey, super relaxed character. And then when he gets on the wall, this animal seems to come out. And now he's got the high-risk jump. Interesting. Another great insight from Sean Mccoll. That was an interview, was one of the highlights of my evening, but really interesting for him to say that he thought he was going to fall off. The MC said he thought he'd fallen off. We thought he'd fallen off. Somehow stuck it.
This is interesting now. Sean Bailey just looked like he was leading with the feet. Has another thing. Oh, no. Really didn't commit. Was in between 2 or 3 methods there. Looked like he tried the feet first option. Then he went back and looked like he tried to jump, but had a second guess halfway through the move, stretched himself out. No way he was going to hold that in the iron cross position.
You just sensed he didn't like that move. He went with the feet, realised that wasn't possible, and a bit like Sean Mccoll said, he went with one hand, and the difference between Sean Mccoll was he realised instantly he needed the second hand, and it looked like Sean just tried to stick it with one hand. We see him go here, just tries to hold it, and that is just such a strenuous position. And he's doesn't seem like he quite had the sweet spot of the hold, couldn't quite drop on with the whole palm.
You could almost see the frustration, and he just knew he'd fluffed the move. As his right hand hit, I think you just see him close his eyes and oh dear.
Yeah, there's a feeling that even recreational climbers like us know. That feeling when you think, oh, fluff this. You get a split second. Poor Sean Bailey. But again, Sean Mccoll said he went with the one hand and a split second later just realised he had to go with 2, read it, and Sean Bailey just tried to hold it and it cost him.
Maybe that's the experience between the two athletes. You'll see a lot of, like I said, probably over 100 World Cups difference between Sean Mccoll and Sean Bailey, and that's probably the experience on that move that showed. Here we see then it's Sean Mccoll currently leading the way with 39. Stefano Ghisolfi 35 behind him. Out next, it's the winner from the previous World Cup, Marchello Bombard. Can he retain his fine form and take away another win here in Briancon?
It would be quite the story if he did, sorry. It's a fascinating case study in psychology, Marchello Bombardi. If you saw our qualifying highlights, which he showed at the start of the semi-finals, if you hadn't seen them on YouTube, they're also on YouTube still. Marchello was saying that it's been a pretty crazy couple of weeks for him, but it's kind of changed his mindset winning in Chamonix. And interesting, he'd never made a final before Chamonix, was absolutely delighted to get there, won, and suddenly it's almost as if he expects to make the final. It just goes to show he hasn't suddenly got twice as strong in the space of a month or so, but his mindset's changed and he expects to be here. He feels this is a stage he should be performing on, and you wonder with some of the other athletes, maybe a bit lower down the order, they maybe just need that one result. They kick on psychologically as much as physically.
Yeah, just see Marchello Bombardi struggling a little bit at the bottom there, really struggling to find the right body position, having to fight really hard there. But this is what we've seen with a few of the other athletes, so it may not necessarily show a sign of what's to come, but Marchello Bombardi really fighting a little bit hard at the bottom.
We'll keep an eye on Marchello. Sean Bailey's just making his way up to us now, but we'll keep an eye because you can see just how hard he's having to fight.
Really struggling to find his rhythm at the bottom of all there. Another pause and go move. Shows how difficult these moves are. Really slight hesitation and then firing up.
Sean Bailey, you look like you're still out of breath. I won't ask you anything too difficult while you recover. Just talk us through that move. You went with the one hand. Do you think you needed to go with both?
Yeah, I think looking back, probably if I had gone with both, it would have been better. But I was a little pumped and a little indecisive with what I wanted to do. At first, I thought I wanted to kick my foot up, and then I decided maybe that's not the way. And I thought maybe I could go out with one hand, but didn't end up working.
How did you read that move when you were on the ground during the observation?
You know, like that's the type of move that I didn't think too much about how to do it, just because it wasn't obvious. And I figured it'd be a little more obvious when I got up there. Like, it's hard to say. There's like two sides. Either you have a beta that you know you're going to use, and maybe it's wrong when you get up there, or you don't have, maybe you have a few ideas, and then you might pick the wrong one. So, yeah, I just flipped the coin, and it was wrong.
There's plenty more competitions to come this summer.
Yeah, I think so.
And what are your plans for the next week or two, just quickly, before we see you in action again?
Yeah, for probably the next week, I'll relax just a little bit, and then I'll be in Innsbruck for a while, and I'll get a little bit more training in, and then I'll hit the next comp.
And while we've got you, just talk us through what these holds are like that Marcello's on, and what he'll be doing to try and make the decision of how to do these moves.
Cool. So yeah, those holds aren't super good. They're a little better than some of the holds, but they're not great. Oh.
As we can see, Marchello Bombardi, last week's winner in Chamonix, off.
Yeah, I have to say I found this route to be way harder than anything else we've seen this weekend, especially at the beginning. So I think it at least threw me off a little bit. I expected to kind of ease into it like every other route, and it kind of right from the bottom started out real hard. So.
Well, you put up a great fight, and as I say, plenty more competitions to come this summer. Thanks for talking to us, Sean.
Yeah, of course. Cool. Thank you, man.
So Marchello Bombardi really didn't seem to find his rhythm at all on that route. Lots of pauses all the way through, and it's a real shame. The winner in Chamonix won't be repeating it once again. Marchello just looking back up, just really kind of thinking what went wrong. Really seemed to struggle on that route. It just seems to be one of those athletes who's so powerful, but just didn't seem to quite find the right pace, the right rhythm. Upset, Marchello Bombardi walks off the stage.
Marcello's still smiling. As I say, hard to believe a fortnight ago he'd never made a final, and suddenly here he is looking disappointed with his performance in his second final in a fortnight. But he did win the last one. Can't win them every time, that's for sure. So there's been people calling for tougher routes in lead climbing. The route setters have certainly delivered that. We haven't seen a top in this final yet here in Briancon. The crowd would love to see one, as would we. But interesting to hear Jan Zabranek say, well, we weren't necessarily aiming for a top in the women's competition. We wanted separation.
I think there was so much pressure on the route setters after the previous World Cup in Chamonix. You know, there's been a lot of talk on the internet about what happened there, and you know, always say it's the hardest job in the world in terms of what they're up against, and yeah, the one thing to do is just make sure it's hard. So difficult though, with so many of these athletes very consistent in terms of their overall ability, and with a couple of climbers after Masahiro, it's going to be interesting to see if we can see anybody getting anywhere close to a top.
So Masahiro in his first final of 2016, he's been in 4 previous to this year. No stranger to the big stage, but as I say, first time in a while. How will the nerves affect him?
Hopefully he'll potentially find a better rhythm than we saw from the previous athlete, Marchello Bombard. He really seemed to struggle through this lower section, but the Japanese athlete is really flowing in comparison, a lot better rhythm. See, that is a really hard move, so we can just see that quite close off to our right. The sort of double-handed sloper up with the right hand off a high right foot. Really seems to be giving the athletes early problems. That's only at the 4th quick draw. 6 or so quick draws still to go. Athletes are onto a real fight here tonight in Briancon. So the Japanese athlete, no issues to this point. We're getting very close to hearing from the previous athlete, Marchello Bombardi.
Marchello, I've just asked you how you're doing. You said not so satisfied. It shows how much progress you've made. 2 weeks ago you never made a final, and now you're not satisfied.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm satisfied to be in final, but you know, you always want to climb good and give your maximum. And this time my foot slipped, so I'm not so satisfied in the final. But to be in the final was really good.
And how were you feeling when you got to that move? Were you quite tired? The route looks hard.
Yeah, the route was really hard and I was really tired, but I still have some energy, and yeah, I was psyched to do more moves. But
and we're just watching the jump move again. This time goes with the right hand, just one hand. Oh, off as well. That move is stopping a lot of climbers. That section looks like every move is difficult.
Yeah, the first section is really difficult, and you get to the point really tired. So I was thinking that you had to jump to that hold, and yes, you get there tired, and it's a difficult move.
Yeah, Masahiro, the first climber to have a really good go at doing it one-handed, but I think he also realised his mistake. But Marchello, for you, second final in a row. Fantastic, just keep this going all season.
Yeah, thank you, it's fantastic.
Really good to watch you again, and hopefully you can make it 3 out of 3 next time in Arco.
We hope so.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
So an early disappointment for Masahiro Higuchi. Same issues as Sean Bailey faced there. Went out with the right hand, kind of secured it, unlike Sean Bailey, but when he came into match he got too stretched, just dropped off. The left hand just couldn't rejoin the right hand. His body sagged, and yeah, real shame for Masahiro.
Yeah, we've got to keep a very close eye on the screen while we're interviewing the previous climber, because that move is causing all sorts of problems. Sean Bailey went with one hand and said it was, if not impossible, pretty tricky to stick it that way. We saw Masahiro attempt it, and he was much closer than Sean. He held it for a couple of seconds, but another one of those moves where it's one thing to get there, it's another thing to stay there.
Yeah, so Sebastian Helenke is out next, and it's currently Sean Mccoll leading the way with a score of 39. Stefano Ghisolfi behind him with 35. And Masahiro, who we just saw, Higuchi, currently sitting in the 3rd position. So Sean Mccoll guaranteed a medal. He'll be very happy with that.
Certainly will. Yeah, interesting to hear from Marcello Bombardi there. Not especially satisfied with his performance. I think if you'd said to him a fortnight ago you'd be in 2 finals in a row, he'd have bitten your hands off. But as I say, he's a man with lofty ambitions, it would seem. And I suspect we'll be seeing him in a few more finals, not too far from now. So Sebastian Helenke, never need to check your graphics or your start list to know who that is.
Yeah, he's a real character on the scene, and he seems to have got himself in a slight tangle here. He just needs to recompose himself, struggling to find the feet, struggling to get the sequence just right. Slight early issue here for Sebastian. Just needs to compose himself. He's looking at switching the hands and trying to go over the right hand rather than left hand, the left hand again. This is it now. Sebastian sorts himself out. He's only at the second quick draw and early signs of problems here, but hopefully he's got the fitness to regain some composure.
Well, the results haven't really gone his way this season, but he said it's certainly not a physical issue. He's made a couple of mistakes, but he feels in great form, no injuries, been training hard, really good training winter, so if there are any issues, as I say, they're nothing to do with fitness.
So this is one of the first real separation moves. Early commitment required here, off the sloper, high right foot, you can see he's shaking slightly. Sebastian Halenke got to commit now up with the right hand. Oh no! Looking at his hands, just saying, not sure what's happened there. Friction, a real issue. And the penultimate climber out, Sebastian Halenke, off super early on the route.
So Sean Mccoll now guaranteed a second place at least. Only one man can overtake him. Sean Mccoll could be a World Cup winner here. Sebastian Halenke not happy. He's a man that wears his heart on his sleeve. He didn't look comfortable from the second he left the ground. He spent almost a minute around the second quick draw and then went up with the right hand, slightly above it, and stubbed. It looked like he stubbed the tips of his fingers into the wall.
Yeah, we've seen time and time again some of the climbers actually struggling with that move. That's the first time we've seen a climber fall off. Yeah, a really shame to see the German athlete dropping there.
Bon, et merci le PGHM, franchement. Sébastien, I know that you're sad, come on. Make a big applause for Sébastien. Ouais, et ici.
So he makes his way off the stage. He's normally always happy to give us in the climbing media a bit of his time. We shall see this evening, particularly unimpressed. He's one of those climbers that either seems to be absolutely delighted with his performance or down in the dumps. Never seems to finish pretty indifferent. So there you see it, Sean Mccoll leading the way, 39. There's one man left to climb this evening. Romain Desgranges, so Stefano Ghisolfi guaranteed a place on the podium as well. Masahiro Higuchi could pick up a bronze medal here in his first final of the year. Wait for the reception, there you hear it. That's 8,000 people going crazy for Romain Desgranges.
So Romain Desgranges, first in Villars, fourth in Chamonix, fourth again in the World Games. What can the legend from Chamonix offer us tonight?
Worth remembering as well, in his seemingly poor result of fourth in Chamonix, he did top the route in the final. It was only countback that cost him a higher position, countback to previous rounds. So, as I say, he won one World Cup, he won the European Championship, and in the World Cup where he came fourth, he still topped the route. And if there's one thing we know you'll get from Romain Desgranges, it is 100% commitment, and it would seem like that is a trait that's going to be very necessary for this men's route here in Briancon.
So can the French legend find his form and show us a top here in Briancon?
Sean Mccoll, he will be at least second. He'll be watching this anxiously. I'm just scanning the crowd to see him. I can't see him. He'll be watching somewhere nearby. We can't see that much of the crowd. We'll concentrate on Romain Desgranges. He may or may not know that a top will be enough here. I suspect a man of his experience, he probably read the sound of the crowd, picked up on subtle things in atmosphere and volume. He might know there hasn't been a top. He may well have picked that up. We shall see.
This is the move then that we lost Sebastian Halenke. So fingers crossed here for Romain Desgranges. Hits it nicely with the right hand. He had a slight wobble on the setup move there, but this route just seems to have somehow got harder and harder at the bottom all of a sudden. The top athlete's really struggling through the lower section.
These are the kind of moves that Romain Desgranges normally eats for breakfast, but with this amount of pressure in front of a home crowd, especially when it's move after move after move, it challenges even the best, which this season is Romain Desgranges. These holds that would be the crux on most recreational climbers' boulder problems. The rest for Romain Desgranges quickly chalks up, powering through this steepest section of the wall here in Briancon. The crowd getting right behind him. The crowd have come in and out of it this evening. They're pretty quiet watching Yannick Gambret. They're certainly not quiet now watching home Hometown hero Romain de Grange just about sticks that move. So this is a sequence of moves where we've lost the vast majority of our climbers, including Marchello Bombardi. He was on these two crimps when he lost it. We've seen two climbers fall from this next move out to the big round hold there you see on the right. We saw Sean Mccoll almost drop it and just about hold on.
So if you think Romain de Grange can get through this section, we're going to be seeing a lot more moves hopefully from him. It just takes his time. Absolutely tantalising it. Everybody's on their feet staring up at Romain de Grange. Big move now, goes statically. We've seen issues with this move before. Can he match in? Oh, does it nicely. Crowd really appreciating really heart in your mouth stuff there for a second as two climbers fell off using the exact same sequence. Good work from Romain de Grange. Can he get it back now and head towards the top of the route?
Absolutely extraordinary for Romain de Grange before he set up for that. You can see those two terrible crimps. Marchello Bombardi fell from them. Romain de Grange was resting on them and then did the move the hard way, the iron cross way, and still stuck it. Unbelievable from Romain de Grange. And he's powering onto the head wall here. The crowd loving this.
So Romain de Grange choosing not to take much of a rest there, as we saw Stefano Ghisolfi, who's currently sitting in second. This is the method Sean Mccoll used then. Front on and looking much more composed than Sean did. This is great work from Romain de Grange. Can we see him heading towards the win here? Couple more moves then. That's where Sean Mccoll went. Romain de Grange looks like he's got it in the bag. The winner in Briancon 2017 it's Romain de Grange. Can he push for a top here? This is absolutely extraordinary climbing from the Frenchman. Oh, it's a great effort. The winner in Briancon, and the crowd goes wild. You can see them there. It's Romain de Grange.
And Romain de Grange is lowering off. I don't know if he realises he's done enough here. The crowd are going crazy. He looks a bit nonplussed. He looks as if he was chewing his fingers earlier on. Now he realises.
Yes.
Make that 2 World Cup wins and a European Championship so far in 2017 for Romain de Grange. Unbelievable performance from the Frenchman.
What a moment. That was fantastic to see. Well done, Romain de Grange. That was absolutely brilliant. What a great scene here in Briancon. Fantastic scenes, and what a great way to finish this competition.
And as we watch Romain de Grange just soaking in the applause of the crowd, Sebastian Helenka, talk us through it. It looked like from when you left the ground, you just never looked like you found your groove.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, the worst go I ever had in a competition far. Yeah, it couldn't be much worse, actually. Like, the first 2 movements were easy, and then, yeah, I don't know, I didn't feel anything on these slopey holds, and yeah, I mean, I'm totally in climbing and kind of lost with my skin, because my skin is really thick, and I just didn't feel anything. It was like almost a numb sensation on my fingertips, so yeah, just there on the sloper, I couldn't do anything. I had no friction at all. I mean, I was not even nearly close to get pumped. It was ridiculous.
But what can you do in the next month now to prepare for Arco?
Well, I don't know. I think the first thing I'm going to do now is going for a rock trip and trying to forget all the shitty season that has been going on so far, because, yeah, I don't know. It couldn't be much worse, actually. So, yeah, I don't know. After that, I'll try to train some maybe endurance for Arco, but the first thing I need to do is now get free my mind of all of this, because, yeah, it's been just awful.
Okay, well, go climb some rock, and I know you're disappointed, so we really appreciate you coming to speak to us anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, man, and enjoy your month off. We'll
Thank
see you in Arco.
Thanks, see you there.
So it's a great effort for Sebastian to join us as we have a look at the results for the men's final then, as the crowd really soaks it all up. It's Romain de Grange wins by a couple of clear moves, 41. Sean Mccoll, great result for him to get a second place. He's going to be so chuffed with that. He didn't think he was going to be into a medal position. Stefano Ghisolfi back on a podium, great to see, 35. A couple of moves further down then where the struggle started. It was Masahiro Higuchi, 29. Sean Bailey and Marchello all falling on the same move across. And what was really impressive is the way Romain did the move across, where Sean and Marchello struggled and managed to drop in with 2 hands, and from that point onwards you thought, yes, this is it. If he gets past here, he's in for a good shout.
Yeah, really interesting as well, that top 3, the podium, the 3 climbers that got past that desperate move out to the right, that, well, we think it was a jump, and then Romain de Grange proved us wrong, but we and Sean Mccoll seem to think that the best way to do it was to go 2-handed. It turns out that Romain de Grange, who it seems this season can do just about anything, could do it one-handed, and hopefully we can grab a quick word with Romain de Grange. He's just making his way onto the stage now.
Just taking the high fives on his way up. Obviously all the French supporters signing some autographs for the kids on the way up. He looks absolutely exhausted and a very, very happy man.
Romain de Grange, 2 World Cup wins, European champion. What are you eating this year? What are you doing differently?
I don't know. Definitely, when I am tired, it's okay. I have many injuries. My knee, my shoulder, my finger. It's okay. I make good climb. It's a good osmosis.
Well, there must be something in the water in Chamonix. I don't know, but this year seems to be amazing for you. Just talk us through these last few moves here. Just describe how this was.
It was not so bad holds. It's a little crimpy with good fault, good foot. So it's a lead style. It's not a modern style. It's a crimp, small movement with movement with the hand, with the foot. So it's better for me.
And these last moves here, were you really pumped now?
It's not so bad, but I don't manage to take the hold with a good prehension. I try to put my hook to be better, but it's not enough.
Well, it was enough for the win. You are a 2-time World Cup winner, European champion. Unbelievable season and huge congratulations.
Many thanks.
Okay, well we're going to let Romain de Grange head up to the podium. The podium ceremonies are coming up very shortly here in Briancon, but that's all from us. We will see you in Munich. Romain, enjoy your medal.
Thank you.
Qui s'était imposé en 2016, il s'est imposé en 2017, c'est Romain de Grange. C'est juste énorme, 2 victoires françaises d'affilée ici sur le mondial de l'escalade. Et surtout, n'oubliez pas de faire un tour à la buvette du grimpeur, et elle porte pas son nom par hasard. Hein. Parce que le gars qui vous fait les frites, c'est tout simplement Charlie Blin. Charlie Blin, il était hier dans les qualifications de Coupe du Monde. Et il y a Manu Romain aussi, bien entendu, qui est en train de nous faire... Alors, Manu Romain, il sert les bières et Charlie, il fait les frites. Donc, si vous voulez des petites préparations par des grimpeurs, et ben c'est là-bas que ça se passe, la buvette du grimpeur, messieurs, dames. Et cette buvette, elle sert à financer tout au long de l'année le club d'escalade de Briançon. Il faut le savoir, Briançon Escalade, c'est aussi Briançon Escalade qui a monté Salomé Romain, qui a créé en partie, hein, elle s'est faite toute seule aussi, elle est taillée dans le roc, mais on peut remercier Briançon Escalade pour l'aide. Et puis on va remettre dans ces podiums, on va remettre le trophée Philippe Ligereau, organisateur du mondial de l'escalade, jusqu'il y a peu malheureusement emporté par les risques que courent les guides en haute montagne, les risques d'avalanche. Voilà, Philippe Ligereau, le trophée pour récompenser les grimpeurs. Et puis je vous rappelle également, vous avez à l'entrée là-bas, j'espère que c'est encore ouvert, et puis sur la tente à côté de la buvette, la boutique du mondial, il y a de quoi remporter des souvenirs, il y a des t-shirts, il y a des sweats, il y a des casquettes, il y a des parapluies, bien entendu, il y a des sièges, voilà, ça fait un petit objet sympa pour emporter et porter toute l'année. De l'escalade, c'est plus de 80 partenaires, ils vous ont gâté ce soir. Dans le lot, vous avez Totem Boombox, POPO, le nouveau nom POPO, c'est des enceintes que vous pouvez emporter partout, dans la rue, dans les dans les montagnes, sur la plage, c'est parfait, le son est juste nickel, il est énorme. Bien entendu, digital et Bolts pour les prises, YDY pour les lunettes d'assurage, Béal pour les cordes, ils sont tous partenaires du mondial de l'escalade, la Sportiva Black Diamond, bien entendu. Bombard qui va retransformer ses casernes ici, les casernes d'Erwick, le cœur de ville, c'est Bombard qui va redessiner la ville de demain, la ville de Briançon. Vous êtes encore très nombreux, hein, franchement, vous êtes bons. Hein. Vous êtes trempés, mais vous êtes bons. Et là, il y a Romain Desgranges qui demande la barrière, là. Oh là là, ça s'affole pour les selfies. Est-ce qu'on peut faire un applaudissement général pour Romain Desgranges, s'il vous plaît, messieurs, dames, il est là. Et le même pour Salomé Romain, c'est possible. Et il y a encore mieux, ça c'est bon, ça c'est bon. Je sais même plus, j'avoue, il n'était pas là à ce moment-là, je sais pas qui a gagné la finale dame, j'aimerais bien lui faire une ovation. C'est peut-être Kim Jaïd, mais je suis pas sûr. Alors, c'est ça ou pas? Vous l'avez suivi ou pas? Et non. Allez, t'as encore une chance, Gauthier. J'ai encore une chance.
Attends, Gauthier, vise une charmante demoiselle avec un petit nœud dans les cheveux.
Ah, moi je sais. Gagné Bret.
Gagné.
Ah, ça c'est bon. Et alors on fait une ovation, alors pour elle, oui ou non? Allez, les podiums, Christopher, c'est dans combien de temps?
On attend le feu vert et puis, mesdames et messieurs, on va faire les podiums au protocole olympique. Évidemment, on s'en rapproche, dans 3 ans, on sera à Tokyo. En tout cas, les grimpeurs seront à Tokyo, c'est sûr. On va commencer à les formater un petit peu, à les préparer, à recevoir les instances olympiques avec les levées de drapeaux, avec toutes les cérémonies. Restez avec nous parce que, Gauthier, je crois qu'après, on fait la fête. Hein.
Exactement, exactement. On aura un nouveau spectacle, ça va envoyer du bois.
Et il y aura un tirage au sort de la tombola,
ouais, on va faire ça rapidement. Il y a beaucoup de cadeaux. On tirera uniquement les plus importants et après on fera le tirage au sort. On vous mettra tout ça sur Facebook et sur le site web. Et puis on enchaîne après avec, bien entendu, un DJ jusqu'au bout de la nuit. Donc j'espère qu'on va faire la fête ensemble.
Ok, Nico. Ladies and gentlemen, please, the victory ceremony for the IFSC Lead World Cup Briançon 2017. Mesdames et messieurs, la cérémonie des vainqueurs de la Coupe du Monde d'escalade de difficulté de Briançon 2017. Please welcome the medalists for the lead climbing woman. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez accueillir les médaillés de l'escalade de difficulté féminine. The medals and trophy will be presented. Les médailles et les trophées seront remis par Monsieur Marco Maria Scolaris, président de la Fédération internationale d'escalade sportive, accompagné par Monsieur Briault, président de la Fédération française de la montagne et de l'escalade, suivi de Monsieur Pierre-Henri Paillasson, trésorier de l'IFFC. Ils seront accompagnés de Monsieur Gérard Fromm, maire de Briançon, Monsieur Bruno d'Aventure, adjoint au sport de la ville de Briançon, et Madame Josiane Faure, présidente de l'association des internationaux d'escalade de Serre-Chevalier. Bronze medalist representing South Korea. Médaille de bronze représentant la Corée du Sud, Yael Kim. medals representing Belgium. Médaille d'argent représentant la Belgique, Annek Verhoeven.
Unreroute the rivers, let the damned water be. There's some people down the way that's thirsty, so let the liquid spirit free. The people are thirsty was a man's unnatural hand. Watch what happens when the people catch wind, when the water hit the bank of that hard dry land. Liquid spirit.
Gold medalist and winner of the Briancon IFSC Lead World Cup 2017, representing Slovenia. Médaille d'or et vainqueur de la Coupe du Monde de difficulté de Briançon 2017, représentant la Slovénie, Janja Gambreta. Gentlemen, please stand for the anthem of Slovenia. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever pour l'hymne de la Slovénie. Mesdames et messieurs les médaillés de la Coupe du Monde. Okay, girls, you gotta go on the top of the podium. Mesdames et messieurs, une ovation, Janja Gambreta, Annek Verhoeven et Kishi. J'avais entendu Briançon, allez! Congratulations, girls, and good luck for the season. Amazing, enjoy everything. Have a good break. 3 weeks holidays. Alors elles seront ce soir avec nous évidemment, elles viendront dans le public, vous pourrez boire une bière et faire la fête avec elles. C'est un sport très humble, vous allez vous régaler. Et franchement, faites des selfies, des photos, félicitez-les, ils le méritent tellement. Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for IFSC Lead World Cup Briançon 2017. Mesdames et messieurs, la cérémonie des vainqueurs de la Coupe du Monde d'escalade de difficulté de Briançon 2017. Please welcome the medalists for the lead climbing men. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez accueillir les médaillés de l'escalade de difficulté hommes. Bronze medalist representing Italy. Médaille de bronze représentant l'Italie, Stefano Ghisolfi. Silver medalist representing Canada. Médaille d'argent représentant le Canada, Mccoll.
The rivers, let the damn water be. There's some people down the way that's thirsty, so let the liquid spirit free. The people are thirsty.
Gold medalist and winner of the Briancon IFFC Lead World Cup 2017 representing France. Médaille d'or et vainqueur de la Coupe du Monde de difficulté de Briançon 2017. Représentant la France, Romain Desgranges. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the anthem of France. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever pour la Marseillaise. Mccoll, Stefano Ghisolfi et Romain Desgranges. On va faire revenir les filles, stay on the podium, the girls are coming now with you. Et mesdames et messieurs, je vais vous demander de leur faire une ovation aux trois gagnants et aux trois gagnants de cette coupe.